everybody, welcome to the meeting. This board meeting, is held via live stream. We're good to go with that, right, Sean? Yes. Okay, perfect.
It's not on the agenda.
Okay, we are calling to order the, can everyone please keep down? We're trying to record this.
Miss Cindy, can we have quiet? We have started. Thank you so much.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it back there. Thank you.
The governing board encourages public discussion of all agenda items. Anyone wishing to address the board may submit a comment form prior to the start of the agenda item discussion. Comment forms will not be accepted for any items once the item has been announced. A person wishing to address the board shall first be recognized by the president and shall then proceed to comment as briefly as the subject permits. There is a 3-minute maximum speaking time per person on a single agenda item. The limit on discussing each item is 20 minutes. Board bylaw 9323 states that the board cannot comment on a non-agenda item. However, the matter may be placed on the agenda of a subsequent meeting for action or discussion by the board per the Brown Act. Please be advised our board meeting is recorded. Are there any public comments on closed session items? No? Okay. I have not received any papers for that. We are going to be just closing our meeting to go into closed session, and then we'll reconvene at 6 o'clock for the open session. Today in closed session, the board will be discussing the following items. Item 2A, public employee agreement, employee appointment pursuant Government Code 54947. 2B, public employee discipline dismissal release pursuant Government Code 54947. 2C, conference with labor negotiator pursuant Government Code 54957.9, negotiator Mulling Barnes. Employees Organization, Sunol AFT, Chapter 1494 Local, CSEA, Chapter 862, and management classified employees. Item 2D, public employee performance evaluation superintendent pursuant Government Code Section 54957. All right, we'll go ahead and dismiss, and see you back at 6 o'clock.
This got batteries.
This isn't like an orchestra or concert or something fun, but there are seats straight up in front where everybody loves to sit. We promise not to call on you. And there's a couple over here. So please come on in. We're happy to see you all.
All right, welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and open our meeting. Thank you, Molly. 6:03. Okay, welcome. This opens our public meeting at 6:03. We'll go ahead and stand and give the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go ahead and report out for a closed session. We're going to go ahead and report out from closed session. The board approved the following personnel changes. 1 FTE status change increase to .375 FTE library clerk. 1 resignation, .75 FTE special education instructional aide. I'm going to go ahead and read a little comment information for you from our bylaws. The governing board encourages public discussion of all items on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the board may submit a comment form prior to the start of the agenda item discussion. Comment forms in that corner will not be accepted for any items once the item has been announced. A person wishing to address the board shall first be recognized by the president and shall then proceed to comment as briefly as the subject permits. There is a 3-minute maximum speaking time per person on a single agenda item. The limit on discussing each item is 20 minutes for the public. Board bylaws 9323 states the board cannot comment on a non-agenda item. However, the matter may be placed on the agenda of a subsequent meeting for action or discussion by the board per the Brown Act. I just wanted to share a couple of things. As the board president, it's my responsibility to chair this meeting and to conduct it with civility and order. First of all, we do welcome public comment. Thank you for all being here. We love having open discussion. We love having everyone here to share their opinions. And if you can try to not come up here and disrupt, that would be great. We'd love to hear everyone's opinion and to respect everyone. I'm glad there's so many people that care. Keep on caring. We appreciate it. There's a lot of good things going on around here that we're going to talk about. Our agenda's kind of long. You're in for a long meeting if you want to stay for the whole thing. We've got some great things going on. We've got progress with our facilities. We have progress with FEMA for funding for our facilities. However, there have been some negative things going on. Some board members have received threats via email. Some personal contact information of board members was given out to strangers by the school. There have been wild accusations and allegations, people jumping in at the last minute, people acting like they're legal experts. Some people have told me that they are afraid, and they're not here tonight because they feel bullied, and they feel bullied by a group that's claiming inclusion and kindness. Please include inclusion and kindness. Please be respectful of your fellow men and women. I fully support the school's goal to provide a safe, inclusive environment to all students, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, disability, nationality, sexual orientation, or gender. I hope all of you can do the same. There have been a lot of people who have made accusations, who have not been involved with all the stuff we've been involved with for quite a while. Some people have arranged for spectacles tonight on all sides of various issues. Likely, people will try to recall some board members. That's fine. My record stands, me personally, and I think our other board members are involved, open, calm, patient, caring members of the community. At the end of the day tonight, I'm going to go home and I'm going to kiss my kids in their beds as I miss their bedtime routine tonight. I will rest knowing that despite what anyone else says about me, I care about everyone here. I care about every child at our school, every parent in our community. I will say a prayer for peace for our community, for our school, for our country. And then I will wake up and set to work the work of trying to be an example of that peace and to bring peace, regardless of what our differing views are. We just pledged to be indivisible, one nation. One thing I stand for is that while schools are not intended to replace families in their primary and noble responsibility to teach and raise children, they are an important part of teaching children and supporting the community. I feel and recognize the weight of this responsibility entrusted to the board. As one of the many maxims I teach my children, you get out of something what you put into it. I would like to be a part of helping to put into this school to help people grow and thrive in the school community. This special school district is small and nimble, as it has only one school and can tailor its efforts and focus on the specific needs of this small group of students. It is a school with about 3/4 inter-district transfer students. It is a school of children and families that want to be here. When educators and students are together in an environment of people that want to be there, the educational focus is strong, positive, and noticeable. The longevity and positivity of the staff here is encouraging to the community and the students. It's the staff, the teachers, and especially every involved and caring family of the Sunol Glen School that makes it exceptional. The teachers and administrators here are the talent that keep it special, and they help the future generations to have a lifelong love of learning, social skills, feeling success, academic improvement, and to provide that to every student equally and equitably. This school must be a safe place for all children to explore and grow. 4 of my children are here at this school. It should be safe for all. It will be one more tool to help kids and community members think critically and act ethically. We have a responsibility as a community to ensure that improvement and the bringing up of our youth. Public schools have been established to aid in this purpose. They are entrusted by the community to deliver on that purpose and to use the funds and resources from the community as responsible stewards. We plan to live here in this district for many years to come and look forward to years of our children attending this unique, distinctive school. I would love to help make this exceptional school even more impressive by safeguarding it and building it up. We care greatly, all of us, care greatly about the trajectory of the schooling and education in our community and for our children. I can promise what I will try to do, and I hope that you all will try to do the same. I will listen with an open heart and an open mind, and I will try to be educated. Unfortunately, there have been a lot of things flying around. And in a quote that was attributed to Mark Twain said, "A lie can travel around the world and back again, while the truth is still lacing up its boots." One thing I try to do is I try to seek first to understand. And I can promise you I will try my best to approach this without contention. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about who can approach this in a kind way. I love that our school teaches that. So, that is a message that I wanted to share in order to hopefully set the tone for the civil discourse that I hope we will have during this meeting. We will go ahead and move to the agenda item to approve the agenda as it is written. I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
I move to strike agenda item 7H and agenda item 9L, following reasons. Agenda item 7H.
Sorry. You were wanting to speak right now?
Yeah.
About the agenda. Okay. Please go ahead.
So I move to strike the 2 agenda items. Agenda item 7H.
Can't hear back here.
Here. So as I said, I move to strike agenda item 7H and item 9L for the following reasons. Agenda item 7H,
Still can't hear.
board reports.
Still can't hear back here. Give a chance. Give a chance.
Agenda item 7H, board reports. The agenda item is impermissibly vague and as a result violates the Brown Act requirement in the board's bylaw 9322, which requires that each agenda item shall briefly describe each item to be transacted or discussed. The description is meaningless. As a new agenda item, there is no language describing what this matter is actually about. For example, does it mean that the board has reports to present? If so, what reports? There are no written reports included with the matter. I'm not aware of the board authorizing or directing a report to be presented to the board. The agenda item is intended to allow for board members to present reports to the board. What reports are allowed? If that's not clear, then absolutely anything presented by a member of the board will constitute a board report, which in effect means that the board will be free to present, discuss, and vote on anything it wants without providing proper notice to the public in accordance with the requirements of the Brown Act or the board's own bylaws. Consequently, the foregoing agenda item should be struck from the meeting agenda. Agenda item 9L, in the matter of the display of district flags and daily performance of patriotic exercises. This agenda item should be removed because it's disruptive, unnecessary, and in violation of the board's own bylaws. The agenda item is disruptive in that, as many people have separately indicated to the board, it's a veiled attempt to inject divisive national social politics into the administration of Sunol Glen. In fact, one supporter of this resolution is a member from Gays Against Groomers, a group that the Anti-Defamation League describes as, quote, an anti-LGBTQ extremist coalition, unquote, that has worked with the Proud Boys, a known violent extremist group, and Moms for Liberty, a far-right parent group. The agenda item is unnecessary as there's no pending or threatening litigation with respect to flags to display at Sunol Glen. And even the district's own legal counsel has made clear that flying the pride flag at Sunol Glen does not raise the litigation threat, notwithstanding the claims of the board president or his supporters. The agenda item also is in violation of the board's own bylaws. While this agenda item is described as a resolution, it is in fact the discussion and presentation of a new district policy. This is based on, among other things, that the board president described in his September 9th letter to Sunol, the fact that this is a, quote, policy for the district regarding flags. Also based on the plain meaning of the term policy. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines the term policy as a definite course or method of action selected from among alternatives and in light of the given conditions to guide and determine present and future decisions, or a high-level overall plan embracing the general goals and acceptable procedures, especially of a governmental body. A resolution, on the other hand, is defined merely as a formal expression of opinion, will, or intent voted by an official body or assembly group, unquote. As the proposed resolution requires that the superintendent take action to cause the display only of the U.S. and state of California flags and to ensure, quote, to ensure daily compliance, quote, unquote, with Ed Code 52720, it's not merely an expression of opinion, will, or intent, but a policy presented in violation of Board Bylaw 9310. Board Bylaw 9310 requires the following steps shall be taken. They include the board and the superintendent or a designee shall identify the need for a new policy or revision of an existing policy. As needed, the superintendent shall gather fiscal data, staff, and public input related to district policies, sample policies from the California School Board Association or other organizations or agencies, and other useful information and data to fully inform the board about a particular issue. The board may hold discussions during a public board meeting to gain an understanding of the issue and provide initial direction to the superintendent or designee. Discussion may include, among other things, community expectations, staff recommendations, and the expected impact of the policy on student learning and well-being, equity, governance, and the district's fiscal resources and operational efficiency. The board or superintendent may request that legal counsel review the draft policy as appropriate. The superintendent or designee shall develop and present a draft policy for a first reading at a public board meeting. And at its second reading, the board may take action on the proposed policy. None of that has happened. Given this, I demand and motion that item 9L be removed from the agenda as in violation of the board's own bylaws.
Looking for a second.
There's no requirement for a second. The board's bylaws do not state anywhere that it requires a second in order to vote on the matter. And so, based on that factor, and the fact that board bylaw 9323 does provide that the board believes that when no conflict of interest requires abstentions, its members have a duty to vote on issues before them. So its members have a duty to vote on issues before them. When no conflict of interest requires abstentions.
Yeah, there is. I motion that we accept the agenda as written. We have a motion, second on that motion. Second? Okay. Of course you would say. So we'll go ahead and vote, approval of the agenda, aye.
No, vote against.
Okay. All right.
Could you recite,
Mickey.
it's unclear to me what his spiel was about. Is he for taking?
You can't talk. Sorry.
Mickey,
I'm sorry, I don't
Mickey,
understand
could
what's
you
going
give me the comment form, please? Oh, no, the comment forms for the future agenda items that have been signed.
Okay.
If you could, that'd be great. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item 6, public hearing textbook sufficiency. Is that you all?
Is, well, you have to open it.
Okay, so Sunol Glen Unified School District Board of Education will hold public hearing Tuesday, September 12, 2023, 6 p.m. Sunol Glen Unified School District Library. Textbook sufficiency. On September 12, 2023, the governing board will consider a resolution verifying that each K through 8 pupil, thank you, has sufficient textbooks and instructional materials in the 4 core curricular areas for the 23-24 school year, and certify that the textbooks are aligned to state standards. The public is invited to comment on the issue before the board for decision. We'll go ahead and open that comment period. Sorry, just getting these, need to look through them. And are these in order already, or no?
They're numbered how they were received.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, just making sure we don't have any for this item. Molly, did you have anything you wanted to say about this one while I'm looking through
I
it?
will happily entertain. All right, so we're happy to share with everybody that we have textbooks sufficient for all of our students at Sunol Glen School, and we feel very confident that our students are well prepared for their learning, so we're doing good. You see that my students are waiting. Yay for learning, yay for homework. Try, I was on a roll.
Okay, so seeing that we don't have any comment forms for this agenda item, I'll open it to the board for any discussion. Ted, Linda?
No.
No, and I don't have any either, so we'll go ahead and, we need to make an action to close it and then we approve it. I'll go ahead and close the discussion. Later on, okay, we'll approve it later on. That's once a year thing, formality. Thank you for putting up with that. Number 7, board and staff reports and communication. We'll start with 7A SRT report and presentation.
Where's our SRT? Oh my gosh. This is exciting for us. This is an annual celebration for us, and SRT stands for our Sunol Repertoire Theater, and we adore them. Great partnership with them, and here they are to, I think, give us some good news.
Now, when I asked to be on the agenda today, I had no idea I would be an audience.
Sorry.
It's okay. It is. Yes. So, as many of you know, SRT, Sunol Repertoire Theater, every year donates their proceeds to the school. And this has funded, at least partially, their arts programs throughout the years. This year is no different. And so I will be giving this to you this morning. But first, a little story. Because there's always drama behind the drama. And this year was no different. Partway through the sales of our tickets, we were using an online ticketing agency. They were sold, they were bought by a larger company, and they stopped transferring the funds to our account. We were owed over $6,300 at the end of the season, and by July, our treasurer kind of gave up. He had been calling and emailing once a week and got nowhere. Someone suggested that they call 7 on our side, and they came through for us, and within a couple of days, the money was in our bank account, and so now I, with great relief and joy, present this check. $800.
Over here, we hope for around $5,000, so $8,800 is incredibly generous. And the show, actually, when you came in today, you are all also going to buy a ticket. That's how you get out of here. And the show is actually lovely, and it's right here in our school theater, and it's well worth seeing. And last year they dragged me up on stage, the worst part of the show, but I was on it, and so yeah, come by and see it. And to the SRT, this does help support the arts, the drama, the music program. I just told our music teacher she's getting a huge chunk of this funds to help with our musical instruments. So we appreciate it at Sunol Glen, and the parents that get better instruments, they appreciate it too. So thank you so much to SRT.
And one further gift, another drama behind the drama. Right before we began our rehearsals in the school flooded.
Oh yeah.
And they were still struggling to recover by the time we opened. But due to the dedication and the hard work of Molly Barnes and her staff,
Mr. Hodgson.
and Mr. Hurley, they made it happen for us. And so a little token.
There's nothing that gets done without the team and the family of Sunol Glen. So it's a thank you to all of us. So thank you so much.
Yeah, there's no strings attached to that.
It's just like, I know it's hard to audition for the next part, so. You make something this year, Lynn, okay. I know how you work.
And our former director would like to make mention of our next year's production.
First of all, I'd like to address the board. You don't know how lucky you are to have her and Mr. Hodgson, because you wouldn't be back in school without these two. SRT has been here for 40 years. We've donated over hundreds of thousands of dollars to the art program here. We perform in March. We will have auditions the end of November or maybe the beginning of December. We do one melodrama a year. It would be lovely to see some of you come out. We rehearse every Tuesday, Thursday at school, and the performance is in March. So please, join us. We chose a melodrama because the level of acting we are capable of. So please, thanks to these two.
Thank you SRT, Sonoma Repertory Theater, for supporting the school. Thank you for being good partners. We appreciate your kindness and your generosity in donating to the school. Item 7B, 2022-2023. I know that's why you're all here, for the unaudited actual reports.
Everyone hear me? Yes. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Tara Sturgis-Owens, and I'm the acting CBO for Sunol Glen Unified School District on behalf of Alameda County Office of Education. So I just want to say good evening to the board president, board trustees, Superintendent Barnes. I am going to present the 22-23 unaudited actuals report for the Sunol Glen Unified School District. The unaudited actuals report basically captures all the financial and fiscal activity related to the district's revenue and expenses from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. Next slide, please. So 22-23, what a year Sunol Glen has had. It's been very eventful. We passed the Measure J general obligation bond, which is about $10.9 million, which is going to allow the district to update, repair, and modernize our current facilities. In the beginning of the year, unfortunately, we had the 2022 2023 winter flood, which was devastating to our site, to our community, but it helped bring our community together to show that we can persevere through trying times. Our teachers and staff are well deserving of salary increases because they're the ones who make the direct impact on our students. They give support, educational services to our next generation of learners. They're going to be engineers, doctors, lawyers, teachers. So we gave them an 8% on salary schedule increase for our certificated, classified, and management employees. And also, we got a grant. It's called the Kitchen Infrastructure and Training Funds Grant of about $108,000. And that could be spent on cooking equipment, service equipment, refrigeration, and storage. And we have until June 30, 2025 to spend these funds. So we're going to be looking forward to allocating those funds next year. Next slide, please. These are some key observations for 22-23. First and foremost, ADA and enrollment are the key determinants of an LEA's funding. So at adopted budget in July of 2022, our enrollment we projected to be 281, and our ADA was 270. However, at unaudited actuals, our enrollment was 268 and our ADA was 257. It decreased by about 13. Although our actual enrollment and ADA was below our projections, we were still able to meet our fiscal obligations, and we even ended the year with a surplus. So we are projecting our ADA and enrollment data to return to pre-pandemic levels, hopefully by fiscal year 25-26. There's a general fund surplus. Normally there's a surplus when our revenues exceed our total expenditures, and as a result, guys want to talk to our expenditures. We have a surplus of about $448,000, and that's good because instead of having a deficit, which means we would have had our expenditures are greater than our revenues, we have excess. Our ending fund balance, I'm going to talk more about that later, is about $1.8 million, and that increased from our estimated actuals by about $411,000. We have an unassigned and unappropriated fund balance of about $676,000. That chunk of money represents money that it's kind of like a savings account. You know, after we've paid all of our bills, our expenses, this is what we have left over. And also, most importantly, we met our reserve for economic uncertainties. It's 5%. Sunol Glen is required to contribute or set aside 5% of our total expenditures plus our transfers out, and we were able to meet that. And the percentage is determined by the ADA. It depends on what school district you are. Sometimes it's 1%, 3%, but we have a 5% requirement. Next slide, please. Okay. This is just a high-level summary of our financials. Our total revenues for 22-23 were $5.1 million. Our total expenditures were $4.6 million. So as you can see, our revenues exceeded our expenditures, which created an operating surplus for us versus a deficit. We had some other financing sources. We had to make a contribution to the cafeteria fund, which is normal for that fund to have a deficit. Therefore, that created an increase to our fund balance of about $448,000. We started off the year in July with a $1.4 million beginning balance. So once you do the math, calculated, our ending fund balance is $1.8 million. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm sorry, the numbers are a little small, but I'm going to go over that. Just need a big magnifying glass. This is basically a comparison between our estimated actuals when I came to the board in June, and I presented the estimated actuals with the adopted budget, and this compares our estimated actuals to our unaudited actuals. Basically, our unaudited actuals is what the real deal, what we received and what we spent for fiscal year 22-23. So basically, at the end of the year, we're in a good financial position. Our actual revenues came in a little higher. We got more LCFF revenue. We have more other local revenue. Our actual expenses came in a little less, specifically in the areas of books and supplies and services and other operating expenses. We like to budget conservatively, and so sometimes we have to put a little cushion in there, but that's good because you never know, things come up. Floods, Just, things you just have, sometimes you have no control over, so it's good to have a cushion in your checkbook or in your bank. So that's what we like to do. We have an operating surplus, as I keep mentioning, and so we're not deficit spending. Next slide, please. This report just kind of tells the story. This is what happened throughout the year. In July, June, I came to tell you about the adopted budget, and I updated the budget at first interim in December, and then I came back in March with the second interim, and then I came back in June with your estimated actuals, and now I'm here in September with the unaudited actuals. And so basically this just gives us a synopsis of our financial, what happened throughout the year. Just a high-level summary. We have more revenues. We got more one-time funding for our universal pre-K, in-person instruction grants. We got arts and music and another arts and music and instruction grant. Our expenses kind of increased from $4.1 million to $4.6 million, but that's because we had an increase. We gave our teachers, our well-deserving teachers and certificated and classified employees an 8% salary increase. We also had an increase in our audit expenditures and our legal fees. But at the very end of the year, again, our fund balance is $1.8 million. Next slide, please. This is a graphical representation of our revenue. Again, we generated about $5.1 million in revenue. 63% of our revenue is generated from LCFF sources, and this is the major category for all across the board, across all school districts. The majority of their revenue comes from LCFF sources, and that's why ADA and enrollment is very important, because that's our driver. And then the other sources are federal revenue, other state revenue, and other local revenue. Next slide, please. The same thing, it's another graphical representation of our expenditures for Sunol Glen. Total expenditures were about $4.6 million. Again, with any school district, the budget is normally constituted of about 80 to 85% of a district's budget is made up of salaries and benefits, and ours follows suit. We're about at 83%, and the other categories are books and supplies, services and other operating expenditures, and capital outlay. Next slide, please. Some of our programs require a contribution from the general fund to cover yearly expenses because maybe the program does not generate enough revenue. And so these are a list of the programs, special education. Just to highlight, we have an ongoing maintenance, and that's called our routine restricted maintenance account, RRMA, and we are required to deposit 3% of our total general fund expenditures into this account. And so that's what that $134,000 represents. And that money is used to maintain school facilities, to keep them in good repair, and this is done at the end of the year. And so total contributions for all those programs totaled about $479,000. Next slide, please. Okay, and just to reiterate, I kind of wanted to break down the $1.8 million. This is how it is allocated. So there's our revolving fund, our prepaid items. Let's see, we have some stabilization agreements. These are additional reserves for economic uncertainties. We have $150,000 that we set aside for special education funding. So this is like our reserve. And this is what the $1.8 million is made up of. And again, the unassigned, appropriated amount is around $676,000. Next slide, please. I'm almost done. Other than the general fund, we have other funds like our cafeteria fund, our building fund, our capital facilities fund, and so all of them have activity throughout the year, and it's good that they also too have an ending fund balance. And so the ending fund balance for those funds were about $3.7 million. Next slide, please. Okay, just to give you an update on our local programs, we have the Eagle's Nest and the preschool. These are our little learners. So for the Eagle's Nest, Our revenues exceeded the expenditures, so there was no need for a contribution to this program. With the preschool, there was a small contribution needed of about $18,000 to cover the expenses. So when you net them, the contribution amount wasn't significant. So that's good that our programs are becoming sustainable. Okay. Next slide, please. So overall, Sunol Glen Unified ended the fiscal year 22-23 better than anticipated at estimated actuals. The general fund's ending balance for unaudited actuals was $1.8 million, representing an increase of about $411,000 from the projected in-funding balance at estimated actuals. And additionally, we are ending the year with a surplus versus deficit spending. Next slide, please. So looking ahead, we're going to have an independent financial audit of the 22-23 unaudited actuals, and we're going to also have a bond audit. And then I'm going to update the 23-24 budget based on what I just presented this afternoon. And then I'll be back in December to present the first interim report for fiscal year 23-24. And we're going to continue to monitor our ADA enrollment for 23 and 24 beyond. And we're just going to continue to monitor the budget so we can ensure that the students of Sunol Glen have everything that they need, that they have supplies, their books, the teachers are being taken care of. So we're going to make sure that Sunol Glen is fiscally solvent. And that concludes my presentation.
Sarah, thank you very much for presenting all that. Do we have any comments from board members? Do you have anything you want to comment on it? Molly, do you have anything you want to say about that?
I just really appreciate the county works very, very hard and diligently with Sunol Glen. We're one school district, and we have a strong partnership with the county, and we really appreciate all the work from Tara and her team, Eileen, their wonderful Bessie from our front office, Mickey. Everybody works really hard, and the good news is there's money. We ended positive, so good on Sunol Glen. All right.
We're going to go ahead and move to item 7C, enrollment report. Molly?
So we're holding steady. Feel really good about that. We're at 271. That's great. Yay. And as Tara said, these numbers are critical. What happened post-pandemic is we saw across the state of California chronic absenteeism. So we have been working really hard with our families to impress upon them the need to be in school. Look at these darlings here. Even past school, just be here, never leave. Spend the night with me. I love it. I'll just keep making you learn. So we really appreciate that partnership with parents, and we do. Oh, look at that. We do appreciate having the opportunity to help, hope that they will take their vacations during our times off and have the kids here all 180 days if possible. So it's going really well this year. We're seeing better attendance than last year. It's really exciting.
Perfect. Any comments from board members? Okay. And we'll go right into 7D, superintendent's report. Oh.
The dog ate it, he said that. The dog ate my homework. All right, I did want to give my usual updates. I'm going to try to do it from memory because I think I left it back in the office. But this is the time where we just do some celebration for the school. And we did have our open house. And I know for some of you, there's lots of parents in here and maybe people that were parents at an earlier time. Open house is a huge, or back to school night, excuse me, is a huge celebration for us. And everything has now sort of a post-pandemic lens to it where we couldn't have our parents here on campus. And so it was really exciting to have the families here live in person and the staff, which a bunch of them are here live in person. And it was well attended, as is true for the Sunol Glen Way. We also have Garden Day. We had our very first Garden Day. If you have not had an opportunity to
tour our beautiful school, I would really encourage you at the end of this fun-filled meeting to make your way out to the garden. It is absolutely gorgeous out there, and that place was destroyed. Oh, look at that. This is a golden administrative assistant. Thank Nikki Whitfield, exactly. Thank you. Saving your boss again. Yeah, the Garden Day was on August 22nd, and this is absolutely super exciting for us. We lost some chickens. No chickens died in the flood. They were actually gone before that. But chickens are back. So we had, and this is really cool. A former Sunol Glen student had 2 chickens that hatched here in Sunol. And he took them home and raised them, added 3 more, and he donated them back to the school. And so we now have 5 chickens, and they built the coop, and so none of those raccoons are going to eat our chickens. So we are super excited. Welcome to Sunol Glen. These are the things that make our day. I also want to give a shout out to Martin Marietta Quarry. For those of you that were able to go to the SAC board meeting last month, this is actually really phenomenal. That we were promised as a Sunol Glen school about 40 years ago that we would get a nice generous amount of money to help mitigate the potential destruction of our windows and doors of the main building. And then, checks in the mail, checks in the mail, checks in the mail. Years go by. And it was pretty much a surprise, and a big thank you to this woman, Miss Connie DeGrange. Hello. Yes. We were presented with a $340,291.38 check. And I'm sure about the 38 cents, but it says that. And that's going to go towards the main building's windows and doors, so that's super exciting. And then I also want to give a shout out, also came up and informed Sunol, thank you Andrew Trimble, that there was some concern about traffic flow. No, nobody has that concern. Yes, we do. And so I was at the SAC board meeting in August, and I let the deputies know that this was a concern of the town, and it was commuters and also some of our parents. I'm hearing. And so they promised to come out and be a presence, and since then we have seen people slow down. Children's lives are precious. All of our lives are precious, and we really need people to slow down. So a big shout out to our sheriff's department for helping us ensure a safe place. And as is true of Sunol Glen tradition, our annual walk-a-thon, our big fundraiser, is coming up. Mark your calendars, September 29th. And guess what the theme is? Aloha. So that's exciting. And a big thank you to Trisha Young and her walk-a-thon team. So that's coming up. You can clap. Yay! All right. So I do have a statement I do want to read to you a little bit here tonight. And it's just a little thing I prepared. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776, 247 years ago. As a superintendent principal of Sunol Glen, I serve as the instructional leader, responsible for the academic, physical, and social emotional well-being of all our students and staff. I am very appreciative of everyone coming over tonight, and I want to beseech everyone to please remember that it serves no purpose to vilify one another. This is a topic in which both sides, all sides, feel strongly about, and it is critical that we exemplify a respectful community that holds different and varying viewpoints. This is a place of children. I view schools as rather hallowed grounds, in that the work that we do here has a critical and profound effect on the current students who then go on to further education and then their lives as adults. Everything we do, say, and demonstrate seeps into their very fabric and our very core. That then trickles into the student's experience. Our children deserve an experience that shows that yes, people may have polar opposite opinions, and yet they could be respectful. As this is an educational institution, as we do in schools, it's your lucky night, I want to tell you a story. I want to go back to the resolution the previous board from 3 years ago adopted on June 8th, 2021. There it is. You're also lucky, I'm not going to read it to you, but it's there. At that time, the Alameda County Office of Education invited all the districts in Alameda County to demonstrate solidarity in supporting the marginalized group, the LGBTQ plus community, who is also noted as a protected class by the federal government, as students in the LGBTQ plus community are at much higher risk for depression, anxiety, self-medication, and tragically, even suicide. The county request was to pass a resolution and to illustrate our support for the LGBTQ plus students by flying the rainbow flag during the month of June, as it is designated as Pride Month. Our board deliberated this call to action very carefully, realizing that we are the Sunol Glen community, and as such, we have families that have diverse beliefs on various issues, including this one. Therefore, out of respect for all families and bearing the responsibility of wanting to be a part of ensuring that all students and families were provided with the reassurance that the Sunol Glen School embraces the philosophy of providing an equitable opportunity for an equal education, and that in order to demonstrate this, we would participate in this call to action. We decided to broaden our demonstration and be as inclusive as possible. And so we did choose to fly not the rainbow flag just unto itself, but rather the inclusivity flag. Flags are symbols. And I want to share that you may or may not know what the inclusivity flag colors represents according to one website. You know Google, find different websites, but I found one. All right, here it is. The color red represents perseverance, blue, compassion, green, growth, violet, passion, black, strength and unity, yellow, glory, gray, humility, brown, wholesomeness, orange, joy and success, turquoise, wisdom and balance. I say with full confidence, actually, that everyone in this room would agree that those qualities I just listed are wonderful qualities.
Can't see the back, Molly.
There you go.
In addition to selecting this particular flag, the board decided that the flagpole was the only place that the American flag and the California flag should be flown. And out of respect for our country and state, we decided to purchase the inclusivity banner and to put it on our fence line. I drove to several schools and district offices in the county during the month of June, and the ones I visited, I did not visit them all, because there's 18 of them, had the flag up on their flagpoles under the American flag or in lieu of the California flag. Right next door in Pleasanton, where our Sunol students attend high school at Foothill High School, we have an MOU with Foothill High School. That's the Sunol Residence High School District, and we do things together with them. We align with them. And Foothill High School, Pleasanton Unified School District has the pride flags, and we're flying them. They recently passed an updated resolution that was passed unanimously in their June board meeting. For our district, our discussions and later decisions this was a good way to demonstrate our respect for the American and California state flags and still show our support for the LGBTQ plus community that deserves our message that we see you. You are welcome here. You are safe. And you are loved. As part of this story, I want to share another value that we imbue with our students here at Sunol Glen, We are an educational institution, and we are charged with educating folks. So here's the lesson I want to teach. There is a difference between equality and equity.
Right.
And there's the visual. A lot of you may have seen that visual. So you can see that equality is that all of them are able to go to the game. You can see the game from behind the fence. But you can see two of them can't really see the game. Equity is that there's steps up for them to see. It's just to provide that illustration. Equality allows for all students to attend school. However, schools are charged with a very precious and meaningful and important, crucially important responsibility of ensuring all students have an equitable opportunity for an equal education. An equitable opportunity for an equal education. And yes, that means we may and should have to provide some differences for them. In the classroom, for example, this means that some students may need to sit on a wiggle chair, or may need longer time to complete their assignments, or may need to have the teacher read the test questions out loud to them. These are examples where the children do not have equal experiences, but because the students have different needs, we are beholden to providing support so that they have an equitable opportunity for their learning. Some may say, well, if you have that flag, you should have to fly flags for everything. That is the same as saying, well, if you have a child that needs a wiggle seat, all children should get a wiggle seat. All children should have more time on their assignments. All children should have their test questions read out loud. No, that is false logic. The child with the wiggle seat, for example, may have ADHD and needs the seat to calm their movements so that they may access their learning. Equal access. Likewise, we chose to fly the inclusivity flag so that the students from the LGBTQ+ community, themselves and or their family members, would know that we are a place of equal equity and inclusivity, and the symbol of the flag solidifies that message.
That's right.
Now tonight, there's a resolution, and our board members have been clear about where they stand.
Molly, point of order. I'm the chairperson, and we can't talk about that item until we're at that item.
Actually, this is my report. This is my message.
I understand, but our reports, just like Trustee Romo pointed out, our reports need to not be talking about other agenda items.
Where's that set up?
I can finish my report, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, our attorney said I can finish it, so I'm going to finish it.
This is the board's meeting.
Report, and it's my time to give my report.
The chair recognizes you to give a report about the school, but then you're refraining from addressing other agenda items.
I'm actually not addressing that agenda item because what I'm giving, I'm telling the history of what happened. And that's not, your resolution is for what you want to happen in the future. And my report, as was asked by many people, is to explain how we got here tonight.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Now I need to find my place. Some may say, well, if you have flags, that you should fly flags for everything. That is the same as saying, did I already read this? Okay.
Say it again.
Sorry. Okay, now I got it. Now tonight there is a resolution, and as our board members have been clear about where they stand, there's a probable outcome, or not. The members were elected they were elected by the town of Sunol, and it is their right to vote on items according to their views and beliefs. And I want to be respectful of that. And this is a public meeting, and community comments are welcomed. We will be having folks that want to speak in support of the resolution, and we will have folks that want to speak in opposition of the resolution. That is how board meetings work. And again, it is everyone's right to have the opportunity to speak. However, I am imploring you to please remain respectful and civil. Please do not engage in name-calling, hyperbolic language, or remarks that are inflammatory. We can all share our viewpoints, thoughts, and opinions without having to go down that road. Please remember, our children are watching. We know that there are folks that have exact opposite viewpoints from one another, so a call for civility is a reasonable request and should not be too much to ask in these hallowed halls of our school. Let's join together and demonstrate for our children that one of the things that make America wonderful is we that are all allowed to have our own opinions and we are all allowed to express them. Also, yes, the flag is a symbol, an important one, and symbols are used to represent something. It is how we express a message. On the other hand, a flag is just that. It's just a symbol. I am proud of the Sunol Glen staff and everyone's commitment to being vigilant and present as we embrace all of our students and work tirelessly to ensure that regardless of what symbols we have or we don't have, our school community and culture is one of acceptance, love, and support. All are welcomed here. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. And at Sunol Glen, we hold that all humans deserve equity. As part of my report, I would like to invite the Sunol Glen staff.
Thank you, Sunol Glen staff, for being here. We're going to go ahead and go on to the next agenda item.
I'm not done with my report.
I understand, but the chair is not recognizing all of the teachers to speak.
You, Brian Jergensen, as school board president, are disallowing your staff, the teachers on this staff who have spent their entire night here to talk, and it's under my superintendent's report. You're saying they cannot. Hang on. Okay, this is under my superintendent's report. I got legal advice that this is allowable, and I am going to, as the instructional leader of this campus, I'm going to maintain my authority of my superintendent's report, and I am including as part of my report an extension of the report to allow the staff to have their time to discuss what they would like to discuss. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Point of order. This is the board's meeting. Please, Molly. You're a secretary to the board. This is the board's meeting. We're going to move along with
This is
the
a school board meeting.
Our attorney, who I asked earlier, could you please clarify?
Sure. The board's meeting, we don't recognize the attorney speaking during the superintendent's report. We are on the superintendent's report. Yes.
But I can ask, as a member of the board, I can ask that question. Can you clarify, please?
The board doesn't
Can you
recognize the
clarify,
attorney.
please?
Sorry, you
I'm
can't
ready.
recognize other people. The board. the
Watch
chair-
me, I'm recognizing you. Can you actually do this?
There be a vote on that.
Hey, you're not above the law, Ted. Respect the order.
Point of order.
Yeah.
Point of order. Disruptive people will be asked to leave.
Disruptive people will be asked to leave.
If there are more disruptions, you will be asked to leave. Please, keep order. I am the board president. We have an agenda. We have a normal way of doing this. We have bylaws. I am the chair, and the school teachers are free to speak during public comment. They can fill out a card. They can speak on the agenda items.
As a member of the board, I'm entitled to ask questions during any agenda item It's not something that you control, and I can ask the question of our legal counsel whether or not it is appropriate to allow the teachers to speak as part of the superintendent's report. I can get that, I can ask that, I'm asking that question right now.
You can ask questions of the board.
No,
You
I can ask questions of our counsel and advise us here at this meeting. Yes, I can.
I chair the meeting, you cannot.
Are you not the counsel to this?
recess? But the chair does not recognize the attorney Josh to speak.
Why not?
We move
Why
on.
not? Why not? What is the issue with what? Why is there an issue with asking our counsel to advise us?
Because we have protocol. We have a way that we
There's
run our meeting.
censorship and there's protocol.
There's a way that we're running our meeting. We're trying to follow decorum. We're trying to follow parliamentary rules.
Which you, what are the rules? What are the rules for this?
I don't have them off the top of my
What
head.
are you saying? So, you don't know the
If
rules.
you don't have anything more to say, we will move on to item 7E. I'm sorry, I very much respect you teachers. I respect what you have to say.
This is the rest of my report. Dear Board President Ryan Jergensen, Board Member Ted Romo, Board Member Linda Hurley, and Superintendent Molly Barnes. Oh, that's me. We are your teachers at Sunol Glen, and I am a teacher. I keep my credential current. Writing to you with the deepest concern in regards to item 9L on tonight's board meeting agenda. We would like to see it removed completely. If not, then modified as suggested by Board Member Ted Romo to say further resolve that no other flag may be flung. I'm feeling you're not reflecting me. I am the superintendent and I'm on the agenda.
Order, please. Do we have the deputies here? Can you escort people out when we point them out? Thank you for being here, deputies. We appreciate your help.
I apologize to the Sunol Glen staff for being treated in this manner. You guys are welcome to leave if this is disheartening to you, and I can see that it is. Or if President Jergensen will allow you to speak, and in an early when that comment
At 9L, if they would like to talk about that agenda item, they're free to turn in the comment card, just like every other member of the community.
And I removed it because they were allowed to speak.
because we had legal advice that said that they don't
I'll
have.
let them speak first if they want to,
So that point of order is okay to not follow, but the point of order what I was going to do
What point
is,
of order is okay not to follow?
you just said I will take a comment card, but you haven't had a comment card from them.
If they give me a comment card, I can put them at that agenda item. At the appropriate agenda item to discuss that topic. I'd be happy to have them speak.
I am sorry, I feel that on behalf of the staff, I feel very, I'm sorry you're feeling disrespected. And if you don't mind waiting, then you guys should speak.
There's no disrespect intended.
I'm
We're
so
going to
sorry.
head with item 7E bond.
We did have legal counsel that allowed for this, but we are being overridden. So.
Okay, we're going to move to.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you, teachers.
Item 7E bond report, bond update. I believe that's Bill.
Thank you, board members, Superintendent Barnes. We should just calm down for a second. So I'm Bill Savage. I'm a facilities consultant helping the district implement the Measure J bond, and I want to share some progress on our task of upgrading the facilities here at Sunol Glen School. So I know there's a different topic for the meeting, but if we could take just a second to talk about the amazing school we have here and how we want to fix it up. So next slide, please. Brief agenda tonight. I want to share with you our architectural selection process that's on the board's agenda for approval tonight. Share with you a little bit more about the main building structural evaluation and the destructive testing that's underway, and give a brief report on projects and design. Next slide, please. So we prepared and circulated a request for qualifications for architectural services. Go back, thank you. to 10 firms, and we focused on, in the RFQ, finding firms that had experience on historic buildings like the main building here at Sunol, but also were well-versed in cost-effective modernization. We have a small bond program. We need to act cost-effectively and find solutions that we can afford for the money that we have. And we were looking for firms that have experience working with smaller districts because they're unique and it's just a unique environment for all of us. So we circulated to 10 firms. We received submittals from 6 firms. We shortlisted 4 firms, and that included HKIT Architects from Oakland, LCA Architects from Walnut Creek, ADIS Architects from San Jose, and Hamilton Aiken Architects from San Francisco. We had an interview panel that included the superintendent, Mr. Hoxie, myself, and Board President Jergensen, and the unanimous recommendation of the interview panel was to include 2 firms, ADIS Architects and Hamilton Aiken Architects. And if you can go to the next slide, please, give you an example of one of the firms. ADIS Architects is a San Jose firm. They have extensive experience working on older buildings. I worked with them at the Fremont Union High School District at Fremont High, renovating the main building, which was the first high school in Silicon Valley, and they did a fantastic job on that. And the picture on the right is Washington High School in San Leandro, and so they have experience with the type of project that's really focused on our main building, including doing seismic renovations on the main buildings like that. So, and the other firm, next slide please, is Hamilton Aiken Architects from San Francisco. They have extensive modernization experience, seismic upgrades to buildings. The slide on the right is from the Maritime Center that I worked with them on. That's part of the Rosie the Riveter National Historic Homefront Park. And they did a wonderful job on that. You can see a historic interior in the center. And the slide on the right is from Burlingame Intermediate School, so work on outside learning areas for students. So we're bringing that recommendation to the board for action later this evening. And this is a sign of progress really on implementing Measure J, because we have to get the architects on board and get them working in order to make progress. Next slide, please. So the next step is the staff recommendation for tonight and an authorization for us to seek a proposal for the highest priority project right now is to get the classrooms in back reinstalled, the 3 classrooms. And part of the reason that that's a high priority for us is that when we undertake the real work of renovating and seismically upgrading the main building, we're going to need to pull everybody out of it for a year or so. And having the 3 buildings in the back and having the 2 temporary portables that we'll look at in a second up front will give us 5 spaces that will allow us to then move some of our functions out of the main building in a successful fashion. That's the overall approach that we're operating on. So next slide, please. I want to give you an update. The geotechnical engineers were finally able to reach the required depths when they came out the first time. Their drill rig was a little bit too small, and they hit refusal way short of where they needed to be. They came back on August 29th. They successfully bored. You can see each of the boring locations shown there, which will cover the back installation, the temporary portables, the main building, and next to the MPR. So that in case we have to do any foundation work on the main building, at least we have our characterization for soils in that area. Next slide, please. So the structural evaluation of the main building, as the board knows, we have retained ZFA structural engineers. They've completed an initial analysis and they've found some significant critical deficiencies, but they can't complete their analysis or prepare the final schematic structural sketches for upgrades without some destructive testing, because we don't have the original build drawings for the main building. So we got a proposal from Flint Builders, and it's on the board's calendar for ratification tonight, and they would perform a destructive testing in order to confirm the rebar and horizontal vertical spacing of the rebar, the exact dimensions of all of the shear walls, and a number of items on the inside that will help us determine what is the lateral force resisting capacity of our main building. Sorry, I didn't mean to get technical, but it's really important for us in designing the main building structural evaluation. So they will complete that information once we have done the destructive testing. Next slide, please. I think I'm almost done. Yes, I am. So we have one project that's in design. It's not a bond-funded project, but it's an important project because it helps us to recover from the flood. We have two portables that are going to be placed. The slide on the right is the site plan of the main building, and you can see the diagonal parking in front. Two portables would be placed there, temporary portables. They are being submitted to the Division of State Architect for approval yesterday, and we anticipate 4 to 6 weeks for approval, and we'll be coming back to the board with bidding, preparation, and other minor consultants like a DSA inspector that we're going to need in order to perform the construction work on those buildings in a timely fashion. And that's my report for tonight. Any questions from the board? Yes?
So I called Rocky. I wanted to find out, clarify, it looks like you want us to ratify both these architects.
I do. But the recommendation.
Why do we need two architects?
Well, it's a fair question, Board Member Hurley. First of all, we already have one architect working for the district, and that's Hamilton Aiken. And let me step back from that. The simpler answer is they were both highly qualified. They both were ranked right next to each other. Hamilton Aiken is already here. They've also done preliminary work. We had a preliminary DSA meeting regarding the placement of buildings in the back. So they're already sort of involved in that project. And the flip side is the other firm that we were looking for, a firm that had really focused experience on buildings just like the main building. And so ADIS Architects fits that bill. And so yes, our recommendation is to declare two firms qualified to work on the program, and then the district would go through a process of seeking proposals from a firm for a specific project, and we'll keep the board informed as we go through that process.
So it was my understanding when we approved Hamilton and Aiken that was just for the portables, and we were doing this under an emergency thing. And as I talked to other people, it really wasn't an emergency. It was maybe urgent, but not an emergency. And so I'm concerned now we're bringing Hamilton Aiken into this older building, whereas that was not what we agreed upon originally.
I understand what you're saying. I think my focus is when a district has a new bond measure and a new source of funding, the process is always to go through a selection of qualified firms at every level, whether it's an architect or engineers, the geotechs that we brought through, the surveyors, and to go and to do a process that's called competitive selection. So you base the selection of your qualified firms on their demonstrated competence in performing the services that you're seeking. And my recommendation would be that the board approve these two firms. Another thing to remember about Hamilton Aiken is they did an extensive assessment of your district and all of the facilities here. They're very familiar with the district. And so,
I have a little problem with that assessment, actually.
Okay, well, anyway, but that is our recommendation, that we have two qualified firms, and we...
Can I have a question about that? What was it about H-Kit that you were not picking them out of the four? In the interviews that we did, I thought they were an excellent architecture firm.
And I think they are too. I've worked with them, and I'm working with them on other projects. They didn't have quite as much experience on historic buildings like the main building at Sunol. They had one historic building renovation at Oakland Unified, where they actually tore down most of the school but kept the facade, a little bit different. We were more impressed, I think the interview panel, I was anyway, with the way that ADIS approached it and presented themselves and their interest in working collaboratively with contractors at an early phase of the process, and their previous work history. That was our recommendation.
And is it okay to pick two, not just one?
It is okay.
Is it
Because
okay?
the board is not offering a contract. This is simply to create two firms that are qualified as a pool under the Measure J bond program.
And to start negotiating the contract?
To start negotiating, correct.
Would we possibly do that with three?
It would. Might be, I mean, you know, you could do 1, 2, or 3.
So
Or 4.
would it be possible on agenda item K that we possibly make a motion at that time to maybe add the third one?
Yeah, that is definitely within the board's purview.
That is the recommendation from the panel, so do just the two.
The recommendation is the 2.
So this would be just your goal to add a third.
I don't know, that's my
I
fault
have
from being
a
the
third
city.
one. I have a problem with Hamilton Aiken, and it goes to a contract that was signed prior to our coming on board that is an agreement between Hamilton Aiken and Mullen Barnes to prepare a conceptual plan and three-dimensional drawing for a building to replace and expand the existing multi-purpose building. And we were told as voters there would be no new building. And Molly has made this clear that she heard the public when we surveyed them after Measure O failed. And she said, we heard you. You didn't want two bonds at the same time to be paying on, and you didn't want new building. So we have this contract between the two of them, and then they were standing there when we were walking through and seeing the school, and Mr. Mike Picard is speaking to all of us that were there and telling us there will be no new construction. And they were both standing there knowing full well they signed that contract. So I have a little problem with Mr. Hamilton as being honest and trustworthy to even work with.
Okay, I hear you, and I wasn't aware of that, so I apologize. But I obviously, the board can take the recommendation and modify the recommendation in the course of the deliberations, so.
Okay, thank you very much for your update, Bill. I really appreciate the effort you did to go out, find these people, set up those interviews. It was conducted very consistent, professionally. Thank you very much for running that.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, thank you. Have a good night. All right, we'll move on to item 7F, Facilities and Maintenance Report. Mr. Hoxie.
Mr. Buckley.
Oh, yeah, okay, we got about 7 readings. We had, since the last board meeting, we've had several contractors on site. We had some tree work. It's not in order I thought they were in, but anyway, we had some tree limbs that actually fell during the summer, a couple of last month. So what we did is, actually we were in the process of getting a tree survey done, and these limbs happened to fall, so I figured I'd just show you what we had to clean up. Yeah, that's it on the trees, I think. The report that he has, actually most of the trees are in pretty good shape. But I just took a picture of the guy out there. He's the survey guy. He went around. We checked all the trees on the site, and we assessed them, how dangerous they are or whatever. His biggest recommendation is we have one tree he would like to do a tier 3 report on, which means he'd have to come back and do some drilling to just see how safe it is, because he's kind of worried that the whole tree might fall over, not just the limb. Other than that, all the trees are pretty safe. You know, trees will drop limbs. That's just part of the tree. So.
And that's the tree out by ball wall?
So that was out by the ball wall, the one that lost the limbs recently. The next slide's, like I said, we had contractors looking. They redid the track from the flood damage. You know, this is what it looked like after the flood, after we piled a bunch of mud up. Keep going. And this is what it looks like now. Wow. Next one. You know, that's the main straightaway there. Next one. You know, that's what it looks like now. So, that's it for the tracks, I believe. And we also had the guy come in and he redid the playground. We greened the area down there that was destroyed. This is what it looked like after we cleaned it up.
Oh my God.
And this is what it looks like now. The kids are actually playing it. Then the next one
We had the fence work done. We went around, this is after the flood, what the fence looked like in spots. That's what they fixed it up, got a new sections there. Some of the sections washed out, the next one, it's back up in place. I don't know what the next one was. Oh, we did get a ball wall because our portable one out there was getting pretty bad. And these guys were rather a lot cheaper than the other ones, so we had them include the ball wall, and so we have a good ball wall out there now. It's safe. And the next one was the container pads. All the containers floated down, hit the thing. That's what it looked like after the flood, where the containers were. And this is what it looks like now. We're going to try and secure them and anchor them to the ground so they don't float again, is what we're working on. And I think the last one was, I just had some pictures. Bill mentioned the boring company. They came out with this rig to start with. And, they were trying, but they didn't get very far. I think they only got 9 feet on that hole there. Then they brought this rig out, and they did get to their 50 feet and 20 feet on the holes and stuff. And so we got the boring it all done. As Bill said, the destructive structural testing is scheduled to start tomorrow morning. And we're working on the electrical engineering, getting power to the temporary portables out there. We were originally talking about running power poles from the back all the way to the front, but we kind of showed him, and we're going to run off the 300 wing, so we don't have to run that power line all the way around. So it's been a busy month, but that's about all.
Thank you to Mr. Hoxie. We went, our 4th through 8th grade kiddos, they did not have a playground for 8 months, and it was a big celebration for them to finally get the playground, and that is thank you to
All right, 7G, technology report.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board members. My name is Sean Devon. I'm the IT manager, and with me I have Cami Clark, our IT consultant. I'm happy to report to the board that we were able to successfully open up school with one-on-one Chromebooks for all of our students. We were able to successfully, thank you to all the staff members, to hand out our Chromebooks, and everything's been going dandy since we've gone back. I would like to also add that I will have more to report the following, this coming month for the October board meeting. I am working on more cybersecurity initiatives. I would like to publicly thank the CISA, which is a federal government, and really appreciate the Biden administration's push to help local and rural agencies like ourselves who do not have the infrastructure to do these strong initiatives. So I would really like to thank the partnership with Cal OES as well as the fusion centers that are here locally. With that, I would like to yield to Ms. Clark. And
I'm just going to wait for my presentation. It's very short. Good evening. There it is. If you could go to slide 2, please, and zoom into the top section. So I'm going to be going over our FEMA and Cal OES projects. Go ahead up to the very top, please. Can you zoom in on that? Okay. So we have those first 3 up there are our pending initial projects, and you can see that those are funded at about 75% from FEMA. The first one is just our equipment and school grounds. The next one are 3 portables and its contents, and the last one is 2 temporary portables. So right now those are all pending initial project development. So those will be coming up shortly as we get more information and more work going along. All of these projects include hundreds of documentations each that need to be submitted to the federal government for funding. Our projects in progress, I'd just like to point out the first one, our campus-wide debris removal. This is pending some project or some documentation this week, and then it should move into acceptance. The next one is our district offices and storage room and water pump. Currently, this should be approved by next week. These funds should be moving into a process where they get released to us. Right now, it's being held up as they verify our insurance policy. The bottom one, that project there will be the very, very last project that ever gets submitted to FEMA. That is just our management cost is covered at 100%. So all the work that your staff at the school are doing, myself, Molly Barnes, Lowell Hoxie, those are ours. Next slide, please. These two projects that have been completed, a total about $108,000. We should be receiving payment for those soon. One of the things that happens when these projects get approved through FEMA is then they get routed to the state of California. And the state of California has particular regulations and stipulations before they release those dollars to you. So they might have their own requirements if they get a flagged project. So right now, these two projects have been flagged for possible other policies that we might have to adhere to. So like some fish and game, some animal, some flooding, and some pollution. So there's a whole bunch of things that we're waiting feedback on. It was really exciting to get both of these projects funded, $108,000, and then all of a sudden the state of California sends this email saying, oh, wait, there might be more. So hopefully we will know more. I did ping our county today to find out where we stood on these because we should be able to get this process through pretty quickly and get the cash in hand. The last thing I want to point out is we did have hopefully a meeting with the state and the Army Corps of Engineers. They kind of came back, what we wanted to do, and at their behest, they had requested, let's meet with FEMA in Zone 7 and SFPUC and talk about, where the historical obligation and responsibilities lie. Is there more routes or more avenues we should be taking for getting funding from other agencies? Is there other responsibility that shouldn't be falling to the district? And we kind of got 3 responses here from them, and we've stalled out on this. The first one being that Zone 7 has submitted 200 projects from the flooding that happened on New Year's. I went back through and watched pretty much every meeting Zone 7 has had for the past year, read all of their meeting minutes, saw all of their videos. I saw the Harlan speak. I saw Andrew speak at those meetings on behalf of the community, bringing up the same fact that Zone 7 covers the district and this area of Sunol. Constituents here pay a flood fee to Zone 7, and Zone 7 did not submit out of their 200 projects Sunol. And we want to know why. And so Cal OES is basically saying we need to go through all of those projects and verify that Sunol's not on there. We already know we're not on there. I went and looked at the map that they approved. I looked at all the projects they approved on their meeting minutes. So this is a little bit of a runaround now from the state as well. The next thing the state recommended was a rural development grant, and oddly enough, that position has not been backfilled, so there is no opportunity there for me to even contact somebody. Last but not least, Cal OES responded by saying when we were talking about mitigation efforts of putting up a type of retaining wall along the back line of the school property, as they said, we don't think the state or the federal government would fund such a project. And that was it. So this is kind of where this is stalled out at the moment. We still would like to have this meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers. And the reason why I pushed so hard on it is because we know in 2017, just upstream from us along Foothill, those homes lost quite a bit of square footage of their backyards due to flooding of this creek. And I want to see the report that Army Corps of Engineers approved for that work, because they are required by law to not do any work that would affect downstream. We are directly impacted downstream from whatever work that they did. We also know that SFPUC, who has partial ownership of this land through here, is spending millions of dollars just downstream from us, over at the water temple, which is great and fabulous, but you just look across the street at the school who has suffered all of this damage, and you have to wonder why they're not taking responsibility over here as well. So I'm going to push a little bit harder. I know Molly's been, and Mr. Hoxie have been frustrated too, but we'll see how much further we can get. I know that our person over at FEMA that we've been working with, Linda, has also been doing some digging of some historical information to see where are these boundaries. Why is Zone 7 saying they don't cover this area? Does Zone 7 cover upstream, skip Sunol, and then cover downstream, and why? Right? So we really want to see some boundary maps and why that got decided the way it did.
I just want to thank County Clark. FEMA, this is going to be a shock for you all or anybody that's dealt with insurance. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. And again, the flood happened on January 1st, and we put through papers and papers and papers. Mr. Hoxie, Cami, myself, Linda, our chief rep, and the bureaucracy is interesting and very, very frustrating. We're on eight months, and we're now, and then like Cami said, the funding flows, and it has to go through all these checkpoints, and then they ask for things that we gave them 2 months ago, and they say they don't have it because it's a new checkpoint person, and then it goes to Cal OES, because then they're the ones that have to release the check, but they have their system.
I think what was most frustrating in this section down here with Cal OES and Army Corps of Engineers is both FEMA and Cal OES got on this virtual call with us, about 5 or 6 people, and said, you need to have this meeting, you need to get all these parties involved, and then they stalled it.
Yeah.
So it just seems like a lot of lip service. So we'll see where we go from here.
We'll start clicking along, but big thank you to County Clark.
Thank you very much for putting in this effort. Most people would give up if they had to deal with one government agency, and yet you're dealing with many, and then compound that with an insurance company mixed with a government agency. It's impossible. So
Reading meeting minutes for a year is on such a lot.
No one wants that job, so thank you for taking that one. Item 7H, it should have read board member reports. Sorry that wasn't clear, but sometimes there's things of SELPA board or CSBA or anything that needs to be reported out. Do any of the board members have anything they need to report out on?
I was just going to update on the AC, here's my letter.
The ACOE board.
Yes,
From the
they're
county.
going to have an updated, I sent it to you.
Yes.
I am not finding it.
It's on October 2nd, and they do a great job of inviting all the member districts in the county to come together and disseminate information. And I'm hearing there's going to be a mariachi band at this one. So Linda signed up.
Yes. So I sit on this, I'm now the secretary of this group, and they're having, is this it? I'm sorry. Anyway, it is on October 2nd, and they're going to have also in the Capitol Valley Performing Arts Center, which is supposed to be an amazing building, and they will also have shortly thereafter an award ceremony for, I guess, the teachers of the years.
Thank you. Do you have anything to report on? Okay. And for mine, there was nothing from SELPA, and the only project I was working on last time is I took direction from the board to speak with the attorney, and we developed a resolution for 9L that we'll talk about that time. So that's for board member reports. We'll now go on to 8 community comments from the community. And just a reminder, the part that we read earlier, the limit is 3 minutes per person. Okay, thank you. The limit is 3 minutes per person with a total limit of 20 minutes. If there is disruption, you will be asked to leave. If there is disruption, we will respect the person who is at the podium who has 3 minutes, and we will pause their time, but the 20 minutes will continue. So please be respectful of everybody's time and let people speak. First, we have Ronnie Zeiss. Thanks for doing the timing for us, Sean.
First, I'm going to talk to all of you, and I'm going to start first with part one. I'm going to try to start with part one. And what I'm going to do is try to sell myself first. I'm going to tell you about me, and then I'm going to try to talk to you about the other segment. I have to gain trust with people. So this is about me. My name is Rodney Zeiss. My family's been here since 1931. I regularly attend the school board meetings here, so I'm actually been keeping current what's going on. I had a very nice compliment at the last school board meeting. Someone said, "We don't know where you stand." What that means to me is I'm wild card. You don't know which way I'm going to go because I tried to look objectively and come up with a conclusion of what is best for the school or my opinion. That is my goal. And I was very complimented that that happened. On many heated discussions at the school board meetings, I've had the right, the left, and the middle thank me. We hugged, we shook hands, we got pat on the backs. So that's what I'm just going to tell you, that's about me. But what I'm trying to sell you is when you come up today, make sure that you sell yourself and the message you're trying to deliver. And that is done by being respectful and trying to find common ground. Do your research, do your homework. Make sure that what you have read and or heard is actually what happened. How many people here actually went over to the school website and looked at the video of the last 2 minutes on the main subject that we're talking about? How many people here? Raise your hand. Okay? Those are the people that actually did their research. Because I guarantee you, I saw the writings. And the writings and what I was at the meeting. I read the readings, what was coming out. I had to go back on the videotapes and try to compare it. In my opinion, they did not match up. And there's multiple. Now I can understand when someone writes a letter because I heard this. And it creates emotion. And you will continue and you may write a letter. But you should make sure, when you have time tonight, there is some time, you can just go outside, flip on the school website, watch the last 10 minutes of the meeting versus just what you've been told or read. Think for yourself. I've repeated it here over and over, please. Think for yourself. Do not be manipulated. As I said, I guarantee you there's people tonight here that have not looked at the video. And again, I had to go back, and I went 3 times back to compare what I'm reading and what I saw. And I was at the meeting.
Okay, time?
Thank you.
Thank you. Just for clarification, next is Midgie. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Just for clarification, this is the board's meeting. You are addressing the board, not the public. So please go ahead and address the board. Thank you.
Good evening, board. Good evening, everyone. So, I'm a taxpayer, I'm a mom, and I'm also an educator here. I just wanted to, would like to explain that that a lot of people from other countries came to the United States because we believe we can be protected, our human rights, our rights are being protected, regardless what our race, our religion, or where we come from. So why is it that? Because for me, the American flag here is a symbol of inclusivity for everyone in the world, regardless their race, their belief, their lifestyle. So I would agree if we keep the American flag as our inclusivity flag, at least in the last 200 years. It's been shown that if you see here in the Bay Area, we are very diverse, inclusive, okay? So, just be very careful. We come from different groups, right? Just be very careful if we elevated only one group above everyone, and that is not called, it's not fair. I am an immigrant, right? So I know I come from other countries. So I'm a community here.
Right.
I'm doing the community.
Sorry, please go ahead, please.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Speaking about, this is open for any.
Yeah, so this is a community comment.
Sorry, one moment.
I'm sorry.
So
yes.
just to clarify for everyone, this is community comments about anything.
So include the flag.
Literally anything. So we're gonna go ahead and let you continue to have your 3 minutes.
This is supposed to be where it's not on the agenda.
It's number 8.
This is for community comments about any topic. So go ahead and
Maybe
keep
she
going.
didn't notify it, right? Because she's talking about 9L, so.
No, I'm not talking with 9L. I'm just talking about me as an immigrant. And I see a lot of people here. You're very diverse. And I just beg everyone to unite,
So it's just like.
to love each other, to respect each other. And please do not say that I'm more important than you are. My group is more important than the other. I must be protected compared to others. So please, we're all here together. We are equal. The superintendent said all men are created equal, right? Okay, so I just hope people can understand based on history. The United States of America is also listed in the Great Seal of the United States of America. It says E pluribus unum. That's a Latin word meaning out of many is one. Thank you.
Next is C.I. Martin. You can keep the 20 minutes going.
I'm here to read a statement to you and remind you that the election of 2022 did not give the board a mandate. The community is deeply divided about it. The tax of $22 million compounded, imposed on 300 households for a small school that serves 273 students, does not make sense to many voters, almost 50% of them. Those people are hurting. Those still lucky to have been able to retain their homeowners' insurance policies are now paying double and triple what they used to pay. For $50, we walk out of the grocery store with one small bag of groceries. It takes $70 to fill your gas tank. It's not that we don't care. It's the 30 years of tax obligation that nearly 50% of the voters are not happy with. This is not Ruby Hill or Castlewood Heights. This is Sunol. People are hurting. It seems to me that when the idea was first brought up about a more balanced and inclusive oversight committee, the person doing that was personally attacked. The oversight committee should include 6 more positions filled by those who are not enthusiastic about a very large levy for 30 years imposed on 300 households for a small school. Then, when the rest of us became involved to support this suggestion, we were subjected to insults, ignoring, platitudes, and stalling. We continued to learn after the fact that this board was rushing ahead to make decisions, earmark funds, sign contracts, and move along as quickly as possible. Being informed afterwards is not openness and inclusion. People are hurting. One of my neighbors who signed the petition, and I gave a copy for each of you, not one of them challenged me or said, this is a bad idea. They said, where do I sign? If we are stuck with this debt, he said, let's pay it off early and at least save some interest. If we can pay the levy in 20 years, we could save 10 years of interest. So let's get serious about fundraising. That means everybody, staff, students, parents, community. Let's get serious about fundraising. And let's ask our non-resident parents whose children attend Sunol Glen to make a voluntary annual donation to pay off the debt early. After all, their children make up 80% of the Sunol Glen student body.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Robert Foster. Robert Foster. Is he outside? Maybe ask? Oh, you're here? Sorry, didn't see you. We can keep going, yeah. It's 20 minutes total for the song thing.
But I think it's for there. Stop.
I'm Robert Foster. I moved to Sunol in 1981. Never left. I have one son, Patrick. He and his mother and I learned to love this school. Daycare services, the education K through 8, and I served as a board member for 5 years. Patrick loved his teachers, his classmates, and the other children around him, and these experiences are traditional here at this school. We are now we're now experiencing the politicalization of our school's board membership and the possibility of some questionable changes. Specifically, one, new censorship rules requiring books already in the library to be removed, disregarding that professional educators have already vetted all books and materials. People are talking about that. That's nonsense. Two, adding the requirement for all teachers, of which I was one time, upon sensing any student showing signs of gender confusion, to report this to their parents. It upsets me to have to deal with discussions about those things and the emotional rancor that accompanies it's there. Now, know this, and you know who you are. If you show any sign of seriously considering these changes, if you can expect a determined effort for recall. Woo! You do know about recall. It has occurred here, and we know how to do it. You are need to know who we are as a people, as a town, citizens of Sunol.
Time, sorry. Next we have Neil Davies.
Hi, I'm Neil Davies. I sat on this board 12 years. It's a long time. And in that period of time, I learned how to be a board member. You know, being a board member isn't easy, but it's also something that some people run and don't have a clue. You know, what the job is. These words, trustworthiness, responsibility, respect, those things are very important, and we're trying to teach our kids this. But we seem to have a problem there. So let me go back and make some statements, and maybe you will learn as you requested that you could. Last board meeting, AB 1314, gender identity parental notification, was put on the agenda. Likewise, AB 1078 was put on the agenda. Instructional materials, removing instructional materials and curriculum, diversity. Those things were ultimately removed from the agenda, wisely so. But now we have another agenda item which serves to separate us. And I see a pattern forming. You know, one of the things that I learned as a board member through attending CSBA and other institutions that provide background for board members was that student welfare should remain the primary goal of each board member. Student welfare. Personal agendas should stay outside the boardroom. You can have any personal agenda you want, I don't care. You can believe anything. But once you are in here, governance is your job, not the management of the school. Governance, which means you set policies that support the students. If you fail to support the students, and I mean all the students, you have betrayed the public trust. Woo! The public trust is probably the worst thing you can do. The other item is that you're supposed to follow state law. If you do not follow state law, you betrayed the public trust also.
Sorry.
I hope you can learn that.
Next we have Margie Corey. Is Margie Corey here?
She was here, but her husband's not. Oh,
There she is.
Okay, good. I really wasn't.
Pull it down.
Hello. I'm so short. I really wasn't planning on saying anything, but I got a little upset. And I thought, well, you know what, I think I'm going to say a few things, and maybe it might affect and upset maybe some of you people here, but I'm going to say it. And it is my opinion, and I sat here and listened to Molly talk about being careful about what you say, and in the same breath, she's arguing with the president of the board. And I'm thinking, wow, what a way to show respect for the board. And I found that very upsetting to me. And I wanted to bring it up. And so I thought that this is not her board, it's not her meeting, it is the board members, and they have a right to be able to tell you that what you're doing is not rise to the occasion. So anyway, that's what all I have to say. And another thing is that I think as living in Sunol and living here for a long time, I find the divisiveness so destructive. And the divisiveness of a lot of it stemmed from the bond measure. And the bond measure was introduced to the Sunol community in a very short period of time. We had no recourse to actually do research on it, to find out what are some of the alternatives, options we have, so that it would not be a hindrance to the people that live in Sunol. And to many people that live in Sunol, they're in a limited income, and so some of them are retired, a lot of them have lived here for a long time, and so it affects the community. Those of you who are out of the district, probably that doesn't matter to you, but it does matter to the people that live in the community.
So I would like to say that a lot of the divisiveness came from this and the way it was introduced to the community. And I would say to Molly that she was partly responsible for it. Thank you.
We love you, Molly. Order, please. Next, we have Laura Oka. I'm sorry if I'm reading that wrong. Laura Oka.
Okay, so I basically wanted to talk about the pride flag. I want to assure people that objected to flying the pride flag, there is no agenda. Gay people don't have an agenda except to grow up, get educated, make friends, get married, get a good job, maybe even start a family. This is an agenda that's much like the straight people's agenda. I'm begging.
Trans people too.
The pride flag is not a special interest flag. Gay people are not a special interest group. They are marginalized. They've been discriminated against, beat up, bullied, and killed. If we were to tell blonde people to cover up and put it under a hat, blonde people would protest. This is just the way I am. Gay people are just the way they are too. Sunol Glen has kids in middle school. Some may come to realize they're different in a fundamental way from other students. It's hard to be different at that age, and it's difficult to realize you may be part of a group that's been ignored, dismissed, tormented, denied, shunned by horrified family members, beat up and killed, and looked down upon by school board members who don't even want to acknowledge that you exist, let alone stand up for you.
Thank you, Laura.
The pride flag simply sends a signal to those kids that are fundamentally
We appreciate you coming to show your support and to share your comments. We're going to move on to items for report, discussion, possible action. 9A, report, discussion, and possible action regarding the approval of Sunol Glen Unified School District's 2022.
Order, please. Everybody get
22-23 unaudited actuals.
Sir,
Do you have anything else?
deny our right to speak, even though we signed up?
Sorry, please don't interrupt. We're limited to 20 minutes. Terry, did you have anything you wanted to report on 9A? Okay. Is there any board comments on this agenda item? Do you have any comments about this agenda item? This one? Amendment to the GAN. That is in your. That's 9D, right?
Yeah, that's 9D.
So 9A is to approve the audit action.
It's part of it.
They're kind of together. You want us to do 9A and 9D together then?
Yes, please.
Okay. Terry, did you have anything you wanted to report on that one? We're gonna, let's maybe not go out of order. Let's see. Report, discussion, possible action, approval of the unaudited actuals. So I make a motion that we approve the unaudited actuals. You second? Okay, and we'll go ahead and vote. Aye.
Approved.
Okay. Well, that passes unanimously. 9B, report, discussion, possible action to approve the EPA spending determinations 2022-2023.
Kara's here. Do you have any questions? Do you want to explain anything about it? That's our annual report.
Educational protection account expenditure summary? Yeah. Did you want to report on that?
Go for it. It's not, it's an annual, I think you counted. It's
Yes, this is the Education Protection Account Expenditure Summary. The economic protection account funds are a component of our LCFF funding, and at the end of each fiscal year, LEAs are required to give an account for how much money we received and how we spent that money. So for fiscal year 22-23, we received, Sunol Glen received $68,000. In addition, we had about an $88,000 carryover from the prior year. So in total, we had $156,062.56 to spend, and that money was specifically spent on teacher salaries and their associated benefits, and we're required to spend that on instruction. So it was all spent in the right buckets.
You had a 5-page presentation on the unaudited actuals, which was a different document. Was that all included when you gave this presentation?
Yes, that was just more informational for the board. It just gave more.
This one looks a little better than the other one, so yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tara. So I motion that we approve the EPA spending determinations 22-23. Do we have a second? All right, and all in favor, aye. Okay, 9C, report discussion, possible action regarding the approval of resolution 23-2024-03, sufficiency of instructional materials for the 23-24 school year. Did you have anything to report on that, Roland?
It's from the public hearing.
We just had that public hearing.
Oh, that was the same as the public hearing, now we approved that. Okay. Any questions from board members? Okay, I motion that we approve. All in favor, aye? Approved? Approved. Okay. Okay. 9D, report discussion, possible action to approve resolution 23-2024-04, adopting the GAN limits. Okay. I second the motion. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
You did it. Okay.
Yeah. 9E, report discussion, possible action to approve resolution 23-2024-05, designation of representative and alternate to the East Bay School Insurance Group for the 2023-24 school year. Any discussion on that? It reads, whereas Sunol Glen Unified School District is a member of the East Bay School Insurance Group, whereas East Bay Schools Insurance Group entitles each member district to have a representative attend all meetings of the board of directors, and whereas bylaws of East Bay Insurance Group entitles each member district to appoint this representative, and whereas the bylaws of the East Bay Insurance Group entitles the authority to designate alternate, now therefore be it resolved that Lowell Hoxie is hereby appointed as official representative, and Mulleen Barnes is hereby designated as official alternate from the district to attend the East Bay School Insurance Group meetings, passed and adopted 12th day of September if we pass it. I motion that we approve. Your second? All in favor? Approved. Aye. Next item is 9F, report discussion, possible action to approve resolution 23-2024, approval of representative and alternate to the Alameda County Schools Insurance Group, ACSIG, for the 2023-2024 school year. This one is basically the same as there. I'll just skip down to now therefore be it resolved that Mulleen Barnes is hereby appointed as official representative and Nikki Whitfield is hereby designated official alternate from the district to attend the Alameda County School Insurance Group meetings. My motion to approve. We have a second. All in favor? Approved. Approved. Okay, 9G, report discussion, possible action to approve resolution 23-2024-07, designating October 23rd through October 27th, 2023 as Red Ribbon Week, supporting drug-free awareness. Whereas the challenge has never been greater for California communities and schools to develop effective tobacco, alcohol, vaping, and drug abuse prevention education programs and activities in order to give our youth the chance to live drug-free lives. And whereas it is imperative and comprehensive, unified, and highly visible tobacco, alcohol, vaping, and drug abuse prevention education programs and activities in order to give our youth the chance to live drug-free lives. And whereas it is imperative and comprehensive, unified, and highly visible tobacco, alcohol, vaping, and drug abuse prevention education programs and activities be initiated as quickly as possible in communities where they do not now exist. And in communities where they do exist, it is imperative that these programs and activities be maintained and strengthened. And whereas Californians for Drug-Free Youth Incorporated coordinates the California Red Ribbon Celebration in cooperation with the National Family Partnership to offer our citizens the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to the 2023 theme, Be Kind to Your Mind. Whereas the Red Ribbon Celebration will be observed at Sunol Glen School on October 23rd through 27th, and whereas parents, youth, government, business, law enforcement, schools, religious institutions, service organizations, social services, health services, media, and the general public will demonstrate their commitment to drug-free communities by wearing and displaying red ribbons during the week-long celebration. And whereas the California State Board of Education encourages the commitment of time and resources to ensure the success of the Red Ribbon Celebration and year-round tobacco, alcohol, vaping, and drug abuse prevention education efforts. Now therefore be it hereby resolved that the Sunol Glen Board of Education joins in proclaiming October 23rd through 27th, 2023 as Red Ribbon Week, and encourages all citizens to participate in tobacco, alcohol, vaping, and drug abuse prevention education programs and activities, making a visible statement and commitment to healthy, drug-free communities and schools. And be it further resolved that the governing board of the Sunol Glen Unified School District authorizes the participation in this commemoration. I motion that we approve this resolution. We have a second? All in favor? Aye? Approved. Aye? Okay. I feel that one's very important. Thanks for supporting that. If the deputies still have a red ribbon program like they did when I was a kid, I would appreciate if they would be invited to the school to help with that program. 9H, report, discussion, and possible action to approve Flint Builders contract for destructive testing for structural evaluation of the Sunol Glen main building. I'm not going to read their whole contract. It's available for you to review if you want. Is there anything you wanted to say about that, Molly?
Just, they came highly recommended to us, and we had actually, Board President Jergensen had a meeting with them, and I was really excited that they put in for this little bit of a smaller job, but it also gives us an experience of working with them a little bit more on specific projects at our site. They've already been on campus. They're already looking at the building and doing some work, and so I'm thrilled to have them as a partner.
Yes, it's fortunate that we get to work with them, and we're considering, as we go out for contractors, they could be doing a lot more work here at the school.
Yes.
So far, they've been very helpful, and this is something that they're not really making money on, but they're doing that as a way to help us and to show us that they're doing what they do. So, what a nice interview.
Win-win, yeah.
Yes. Any questions, any comments from the board?
I've heard good things about them.
All right, thank you. I motion to approve. Second, all in favor?
Approved.
Approved, aye. 9I, report, discussion, possible action to approve the 2023-24 LCAP clarifying questions, Sunol Glen Unified School District. And Molly, did you want to present on this?
Absolutely not. All right, so LCAP is my favorite subject, the Local Control Accountability Plan. Again, another government bureaucracy document, and just in case you're feeling like this is deja vu, that's because this is deja vu. We had clarifying questions that we sent to you in, I believe, August,
And unfortunately, there was another round of checks from the county office, and they sent it back to us. Most of them were actually very easy to it was just budgetary mistakes, and we were able to update them. And then one of them had to do with that we anticipated where our students were gonna fall on their math scores, and we wanted to, and then, so they said, why did you change it? And we said, because we wanted to capture that they actually did better. And so that was that change, and that was it. It was pretty short. Yep, that's it.
Great. Any questions from board members? Okay, I motion to approve. All in favor? Approve. 9J, Bond Oversight Committee. Approval of opening up the committee for the possibility of expanding membership to 2 more alternates. One, would you like to explain what that is?
Yes, so over the last 6 months, 7 months, we had a process where people could apply to be on our oversight committee, and we went through a process of providing them to some recommendations from myself to the board, and we have no knowledge of how people vote when that is not a requirement, and it is not something we ask them to disclose. And many of the people, Mr. Lowder's own father-in-law, I'd never even met him before, I don't know who he is, and he got on the board. But in any case, so we did a training, we created these lots of documents for these folks. We had, they created offices, but in the subsequent board meetings, we had several folks that were kind of not in favor of the bond, and they felt, I don't know how they would know how people voted on the bond, but they somehow feel that the bond oversight committee consisted of maybe more positive people than not positive people. And so they approached the board and asked if it would be okay, if we would consider opening it up once again for 2 more alternates. Right now, the recommendation from the county, or excuse me, our bond legal folks was to have 7 people. We have 7 plus 2 alternates, but it certainly doesn't preclude us having 2 more alternates. So, in speaking with President Jergensen, what we were thinking about doing is going ahead and putting it back out, and or looking at the 4 people that already turned in.
Like, when we were talking, the way we thought it would be most fair to try to help the people in the community that feel like it wasn't quite fair enough is we'll take whatever applications we had that were not allowed. We'll also open it up for about a 2-week period. It'll be posted on the website, and anybody else can submit an application. It'll be reviewed by the superintendent, by the board, and we will make a selection of 2 more people. That is the proposal, if the board wants to do that.
As at-large members, not just alternates that sit on the sideline and wait for somebody to take design.
Yeah, and the problem is we already have that process, and we already have 2 alternates, so I think
Well,
what
we didn't get things in 72 hours before. I was handed all those applicants just moments before we had to come into the meeting and vote upon them. I believe that's a breaking of the ground.
So what we're gonna do is we have 7 people on the oversight committee, which is by law, and there's certain qualifications for certain seats on there. We have 2 alternates, but what we talked about we're gonna do is open it up for 2 more alternates.
If they
so
want to be
that
at-large people, and there's no rule that tells you you can't have more, and I listed
yes.
those school districts that have more. There are one that has 13, one that has 11.
So, but this proposal, again, the board does not have to open this back up. It is closed. We have met the requirements. I think this was an offer of saying, hey, we hear you and we want to open it up again, Linda. So we're not going to go backwards. So we're going to go forward per this item on the agenda and offer folks to be alternates if they want to be.
It's just like sitting on the bench, you're not playing the game.
So I'm going to say I'm opposed to this because I think there hasn't been enough time to see how the board, the committee is operating. They're not meeting till November. We talked about this at prior board meetings where we determined that it made sense to wait and see how they operate. Anybody, as Ryan has said to everybody 1,000,000 times already, they can attend. It's an open meeting. People can attend. They can see what happens, and then there would be a reassessment subsequently. So I feel that it's completely unnecessary to even do this. This is a waste of time.
I just felt that you show that you're
We do want to show to the community that we do hear the people that feel disenchanted or disenfranchised, the people that feel like the Bond Oversight Committee maybe doesn't represent everyone, but.
Totally all Mauline's recommendations, not one was deliberated.
I want to clarify that, the process is, Linda, that the superintendent makes recommendations. We followed that rule. I made recommendations. I have no idea who half of those people are. I didn't even know their names. I made recommendations.
And you
The
gave
board,
them the list.
excuse me,
If you
the
went
board
through
had
it,
the opportunity to share their thoughts on that and then make a decision which you voted for. And
I
so,
voted against it.
and so that is how that committee came to be. And as we've said over and over and over again, it's a public meeting. Anybody is more than welcome and happy to come, and they are more than welcome to participate. It doesn't preclude them from being there. And I know we talked about doing that too, waiting till after the first meeting and then saying like, oh yeah, maybe we should have more. What I think this was trying to do was to say, okay, hey, maybe we should, I spoke with President Jergensen and we were thinking, you know what, at this juncture, maybe this would be a way to kind of reopen it up and
To try to find some middle ground.
to try to compromise.
We
It's
don't
very
have to-
reasonable.
We don't have to do anything.
No, it could be forced upon you because of Brown access.
If the board wants to do it, we can. If we don't want to do it, we don't have to. We can try to come up with some middle ground. I will maybe take a break here. We're gonna have not a break for the meeting, but we're gonna have Mr. Chris Boberts come up. He wanted to comment on this. And while you're coming up, I just have a question. The card is not clear. Amber McKnight, I think it is?
Sorry.
Was that for this one?
No, it's for
9I?
it was for the, L, it was just, I had
Oh,
to, I wrote
sorry.
the wrong one, so it's like a speed run of trying to write.
No problem, no problem.
Sorry,
Just
go ahead.
clarification, no big deal.
Sorry about that. I think I fell asleep and then went out of order. So I should have got.
No, we're on the right one. 9J Bond Oversight Committee.
If I would have known you guys were all going to be here, I would have dusted off my stand-up routine. Perfect. Captive audience.
Ready.
My name is Chris Boberts, and I am a parent of children at Sunol Glen and Sunol resident. I'm going to try to read this real fast because I might not make it, but I am a board member of the Bond, a member of the Bond Oversight Committee. However, I'm speaking in the personal capacity and not on behalf of the Sunol Glen Bond Oversight Committee. Over time, I've listened to requests to change the Oversight Committee bylaws, add people to the committee, etc., etc. And it seems to me that there is still confusion regarding the duties of the Oversight Committee. So, for your consideration, bylaws. Oversight Committee bylaws 2023-15C, bylaw 3.1, under duties. Inform the public. The committee is an advisory committee and shall inform the public concerning the district's expenditure of bond proceeds. 3.2. Review expenditures. I had to cut out a bunch because we wouldn't have made it, but you'll get the gist. The committee is charged with the duty to review expenditure reports produced by the district to evaluate if A, bond proceeds were expended only for the purposes set forth in Measure J, and B, no bond proceeds have been used for teacher or administrative salaries or other operating expenses. 3.3. Annual report, at least one time annually commencing no later than the end of the fiscal year to this meeting and to be posted on the district website. A statement indicating whether the district is in compliance with the requirement of Article 8A, Section 1B3 of the California Constitution. 3.5. Oversight of Measure J projects only. In recognition of the fact that the committee is charged with overseeing the expenditure of bond proceeds, the board has not charged the committee with responsibility for projects financed through the state of California, developer fees, certificates of participation, lease revenue bonds, the general fund, or sale of surplus property, and without bond proceeds shall be outside the scope of oversight of the committee. The establishment of, again, not charged with, the establishment of priorities or order of construction for bond projects, which shall be made by the board in its sole discretion. Not charged with the selection of architects, engineers, soil engineers, construction managers, project managers, CEQA consultants, and such other professional services firms as are required to complete the project based on district and not a lot of other stuff. Basically, all the responsibility and none of the power. So then, here we are with a resolution to add 2 additional oversight or alternate to oversight committee. Simply, I see no value and a waste of resources, and I thank you for listening to me and wasting your time.
So, any other comments? No? Board members? Trustee Hurley? Okay, do we have any motions for the Bond Oversight Committee approval of opening it for possibility of extending membership to 2 more alternates? Personally, I think it's a great middle ground. We're trying to hear the community. We're trying to hear all sides. So I make a motion that we open it up for 2 weeks to receive applications to add 2 more members as alternates. The Bond Oversight Committee will still function and proceed as it was, with the same bylaws, but this is in a good faith effort to try to meet the community. I understand it's not what you were saying, it's not what you were saying. I feel like it's a middle ground option. Do we have a second? We do not. Okay, do we have any other motions? All right, so we'll move on to Measure K. Staff recommendation, after the request for qualifications process, is to approve 2 firms for work on the Measure J bond program, Hamilton Aiken Architects and Aegis Architects. Staff recommendation to include board approval for the superintendent to seek proposal for services on the highest priority projects. The first priority is installation of the permanent portables at the rear of the campus. I'm open to it. I think the 2 would be fine. Any comments on that from either board member? I understand. I don't share those concerns.
Can't hear you.
Any other comments?
So my view is that we should go with what's recommended by professionals who have reviewed it and determined that these are the appropriate parties to go with.
So as a little bit of background, Ms. Barnes and Mr. Savage here set it up, and Mr. Hoxie, we spent time, several different days, maybe 45 minutes or so with each firm, 4 different firms after looking at the 6 and narrowing it to 4, interviewing them. It was a great process, it was very professional, and I'm grateful that you helped us find 6 really good firms. You helped us narrow it to 4 really awesome firms. And now I think those last 2 are great. I think the 3rd one I also really like, probably equally. It's hard to choose between great firms. So I'm fine with, and I'm happy to spend the time to do that. I spend a lot of time not in these meetings doing a lot of research and time on this. So I'm happy with it. I make a motion that we approve those 2. You second it?
I'll second it. That's what he wants.
Okay. Any, sorry, we'll go ahead and go for a vote. All in favor?
Approve.
Aye. Okay.
Can I get a roll call?
That was all aye. Yep. All in favor. Measure 9L, report discussion, possible action to approve resolution 23-2024-08 in the matter of the display of district flags and daily performance of patriotic exercises. We do have some community comments. Before we get into those community comments, I just wanted to give a little background on this. I'm sure many of you have already read the content of the resolution. This resolution came up when a couple of community members approached the board and the superintendent requesting various different flags be flown at the school. The attorney was involved in some of those conversations. The superintendent Barnes at the time said she did not want to make the decision of which flags to be flown. and suggested that that's a decision for the board to take up. So we asked the individual to withdraw that request from the board and from the school and to bring it to the school board meeting. That was last month's meeting. That was brought up. It was something that was on a future agenda item. There was no possibility of action to be taken on it. And then the decision by the board was to go seek legal counsel and to draft a resolution. I took the directive to legal counsel and I said, to me it sounds like we need to come up with a resolution or two resolutions or have some options. His counsel to me was to have just one resolution and to not have multiple different resolutions to consider. And we developed a resolution that is here before you. I would like to say just a couple of things. I hear all of the comments from the community. I've read all of the emails that were sent to me. Before you make judgments about this resolution, please recognize that you have heard from some people in the community who were not involved with this. You've heard from possibly other board members who were not involved with this and misunderstand me, and I have been misrepresented, and the resolution I feel has been misrepresented. I believe you all have great hearts and want to protect kids. I applaud that. That is great. I also want to protect kids, and we're going to discuss that. To the teachers, I apologize. I am not trying to be disrespectful by keeping things in order. We're trying to have an orderly meeting. You are valued. You are possibly misinformed about this resolution. Our attorney has given counsel to the district, to not just me, to say, please understand that this resolution limits the district display of flags to the United States flag and the California flag, and it by no means restricts the free speech of teachers. It does not restrict the free speech of students. It is only restricting the speech of the district itself. So, the resolution is fairly simple. It doesn't talk about every possible permutation of if a group comes and is having a 4-H meeting and putting up a 4-H flag, because that is not the district's speech. That is not the district putting up some sort of flag or display. I sent out this letter, maybe some of you read it already. On Saturday, late, I wrote a letter in response to things that were going to the community. I did this after having spending a day of caring for my kids and in sports with them alongside my wife. My kids are my top priority on a Saturday. I am one of the 3 trustees of the board. My comments don't represent the whole board unless I'm directed to do so. They represent my views. I believe everyone needs to be treated fairly and equally. Schools need to be a place of inclusion where all schools are safe. All students are safe, sorry. My concern is that when a school starts endorsing any particular view that can be divisive, when the school starts endorsing any single particular view, it can be divisive. Then the school is then failing in its mission. I agree with many of the views espoused in our community. I think equality and equity and fair, kind treatment of everyone is of utmost importance. That's what we are striving for in this school. While certain issues may not appear divisive to some, there are many deeply held views on various sides of a given issue. I have been in a position to hear from many, many differing and conflicting viewpoints about this topic. Whether individual personal views align with those or others or not, the school should be inclusive of all. Individual views are irrelevant when considering inclusion of all. I prefer to seek more for what unites us as a school and community, a state, and country, rather than to seek for what fractionates or divides. We are one nation, indivisible, the United States of America. As Trustee Romo previously said, board members shall hold, from our bylaws, the education of students above any partisan principle, group interest, or personal interest. I agree with this wholeheartedly and will hold to these values in the discharge of my duties to the school and community. There are many different views. Think of your own views. There are people who have strongly held views in another direction. The school community should allow everyone's point of views to be welcomed, and the district should not be seen as endorsing one view over another. The district should not be seen as endorsing one view over another. It is my understanding that we have a resolution to be considered on the agenda for limiting flags displayed by the district to only the flag of the United States of America and California. Those two flags are commonly held and legally designated. The proposed resolution seeks to endorse only those symbols and flags that are recognized under law as symbols of our state and country, and exclude those that are not designated nor recognized as such. While I have been a board member, I have been aware of multiple requests made by various people in the community requesting different types of flags to be displayed. That has put the superintendent in the position of deciding which flags should be displayed or not. I understand that legal action against the school has been discussed. My understanding was that the superintendent maybe didn't ask the board, but said this is a decision for the board to make regarding the policy on the district regarding flags. In light of this direction and request, I volunteered as board president to seek legal counsel from the district's legal counsel attorney according to our bylaws about drafting a possible resolution for a future meeting today. After much research and discussion with the attorney for the district, it is my understanding that we have before us the most inclusive policy possible. Although you may not agree with it, it prevents any potential or actual discriminatory behavior, conduct, or symbols by choosing one organization's flag over another. That is, by definition, discriminatory. By not allowing others, that is discriminatory. Treating everyone the same and only displaying flags required under law is treating everyone the same, equitably, and legally. Further, it is my understanding that the display of the flag at the school has nothing to do with the rights of children and teachers to share their opinions and their free speech. This resolution seeks to ensure preservation of free speech and equity by treating everyone the same. My understanding is that this position and the proposed resolution treats everyone the same without discrimination and is the safest, that's my words, in discussion with the legal, it was least exposure, least liability, safest legal course of action for the Sunol Glen School District. We are trying to do what is best for our school and for the children. Any legal action...
Your attorney is shaking their head.
Any legal action from any group would take funding away from the children and our school. Molly, I did not intend to be disrespectful when I was keeping order with the program, the agenda. Your graphic that you showed with people on boxes, I would say there are people that need a little extra help. I agree with that. There are people in the community that feel like they're not being heard also, and they voiced that at the last meeting. Who are we to choose, or who are you to choose, to deem ourselves or yourself to be judged over how many boxes people get and who gets boxes? So, that is a little bit of history. That is a little...
I am the superintendent. I am responsible for the instruction of the students on our campus. And that means the social, emotional, physical, and educational well-being of the children.
So in this In this case, the resolution we have before us is for Sunol Glen Unified School District. It's a government entity passing a resolution to limit flying and hanging of flags other than the U.S. and California flags. This resolution only limits the Sunol Glen Unified School District in doing so. In addition, should we take that? Others in the school cannot put things up that may be seen as representing the district or the district's speech, but free speech is not limited. Personal free speech, classrooms, that is not limited by this. This has nothing to do with religion. It is not discriminatory, as it is a content-neutral restriction that prohibits all flags. We have community comments, so we'll go ahead and go to
Before, I think we have to have a discussion before we go to community comments. This is a discussion measure as well. We're at the point at which we as the board can discuss this.
Yeah, we can do community comments and then our discussion.
No, I would like to actually discuss this first. No, there's no requirement.
There isn't, but as the chair, I'm going to go ahead and community comments.
You're dictating to us.
I'm going along with our protocol where we hear community comments and then we'll discuss. So the teachers, is there one teacher that would like to read the letter, or all of you? Okay.
If when we introduce ourselves, is that part of the time?
It is part of the time.
All right, well, thank you so much for listening to us tonight. We submitted this letter and we'd like to read it with you. Dear Board President Ryan Jergensen, Board Member Ted Romo, Board Member Linda Hurley, and Superintendent Molly Barnes. We are your teachers at Sunol Glen, writing to you with the deepest concern in regards to item number 9L on tonight's board meeting agenda. We would like to see it removed completely, if not, then modified, as suggested by Board Member Ted Romo, to say, further resolved that no other flag may be flown on the flagpole outside the entrance to the Sunol Glen School, except as authorized and directed from time to time by the superintendent or designee in his or her reasonable direction. Precise language is critical for the intentions behind this message. Our message to our families is all are welcome, and we are proud to stand by this message for all of our students here at Sunol Glen. Showing kindness is of utmost importance to us, and that means welcoming all students coming from diverse backgrounds, being inclusive to all, and making sure that all of our students are respected and feel safe. Banning sends the opposite message. We would never want our LGBTQ students, their families, or any other group for that matter, to feel like they're not wanted, supported, or safe at our school. In addition, we have many welcoming flags at our school of all kinds, some given to us or made thank you by our students, some representing other cultures and countries from around the world, some from our youth clubs, Go 4-H, representing the sense of community. If this resolution is passed as it is currently written, we have much to lose.
Another concern is that we feel that the board is not accurately representing the goals and ideals of Sunol Glen School's historical inclusiveness of all students and families, as well as the current majority of the teaching staff. In addition, as stated on the school website, our second core value states, decisions will be made that demonstrate inclusiveness, modeling professional integrity through processes that are respectful, transparent, and proactively engaging to parents, students, and staff. Furthermore, the current proposed resolution is sadly creating division and strife in our small community. This is taking our focus and energy away from much more pressing issues and work that needs to be done in education and on our campus itself.
To accept and care for every single student that we teach, matter who they are. We want what is best for all of our students, and we know you do as well. Please do consider removing or modifying item number 9L. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm representing the CSEA union for classified employees.
I'm sorry, we're going to the next community comment.
Because
I'm on the community
they
comments.
this was the two items.
These are the two
you
items that you're
interrupted
going
and
to-
let them go under my superintendent's report. So you said that they can go, that's what you said, they can go.
You said both of us could go.
Both? I didn't know there were two groups.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
That's a different union.
That's AFT, we're CSEA.
Okay, so you can have that one, and then after this, for clarification, we will then move on to other community comment cards.
All right.
Thank you.
We're writing to you as a CSEA Chapter 862 with the deepest concern in regards to item 9L on Tuesday's board agenda. We would like to see it removed or modified in a way that gives the superintendent or their designee reasonable discretion. We believe this is better aligned with our school's culture and best practice for long-term financial health of the school. Our message to incoming families is all are welcome. This initiative flies in the face of that message to be inclusive for all. You can claim this is about other flags, but everyone knows this is squarely focused on a pride flag flying for a handful of school days in June. Showing kindness is of utmost importance to us, and that means welcoming all students and making sure all of our students are respected and feel safe. We have LGBTQ+ parents at Sunol Glen. We're already aware of some of them, as well as some allies families who are considering pulling their children out of the school. We're aware of a potential sick-out, which would also create significant funding challenges. And home values, according to a study by Realtor.com, are 49% higher than the median inside of top-rated school districts. What happens to the Sunol real estate market if we don't have a school district? You are creating a potential economic crisis. At every board meeting, Superintendent Barnes relays our student enrollment. We have an ideal operating capacity, which is around 290 students. We took a major hit during COVID, and we've been holding at about 273. Remember, every student lost is lost revenue, which can translate into a loss of programs and potentially a loss in teachers and staff. Our fiscal health is your responsibility. You will lose students next year if we start delving into social politics that exclude a number of students and their families. We cannot afford this manufactured crisis. We're already low on enrollment, and the school obviously would never survive with residents and Sunol school students alone. Thank you.
You're intolerant and divisive, and you mistreated some of the people that you represent. I never heard you make meaningful suggestions about educational improvements. I tried to talk to you about tutoring and homework programs many times. I was willing to get involved, and you never would respond to me. It seemed like you're more interested in making a gesture or a symbol than actually trying to help people. And when I see someone alone, I practice this and I always have, and I feel they aren't being included, I bring them over and I include them. This is real inclusion. It takes real effort. It isn't just a symbol, it's true compassion. Molly made a great point. It's what you actually do to include people. Inflammatory and false accusations, such as those made, have no place in our community, and any member of any board or committee, no matter which board or committee, that are making these types of incendiary and intimidating remarks about fellow citizens should step down from his or her post immediately. If a non-public flag or symbol is raised, it could seem to separate a certain group. It can sometimes make people feel bad or humiliated, as if they aren't as good. Maybe they feel excluded or separate. Maybe they feel they don't matter as much, that they're not equal, that they're different. If you're truly worried that some students feel alienated, bring that together through art or sports or other activities. Volunteer. And if you see a warning sign, talk to the parent or try harder to include the student in activities. Do something to really help. Don't just try to appear as if you're helping. The important point is that no one should discriminate, and there is no evidence that anyone in our community has discriminated against anyone. It's a made-up false premise. And some people are using symbols to send a message, you're bigots.
We're all paying for the school, we all care about the school, and we care about Sunol, and every citizen deserves respect. Every citizen deserves respect.
Thank you.
Next is Crystal Diamond.
Yes, I do. I'm a Sunol resident, 23 years.
Crystal Diamond.
Hello, my name is Crystal Diamond. I'm a mother of both a teacher and a kindergarten student. This is my second time around here. And I was so shocked to find out what was happening. So I don't know anybody on the board personally, but I can, you can come here. I got things right. But I know facts. I can read what the resolution says. And I know whatever we want to paint it or say it is, it really is what it is. Because given the fact that somebody else on the board wrote something that had speech within it, text within it, that gave the power to the superintendent, who we have as our leader, to pick and help and choose and guide this school to where it needs to be, to where it's going. And I came on board when she very first got here. And to see her this every morning, loving the students up, teaching the students, and having guided a lot of teachers who are new into where they are, into becoming, and to see that stripped away from her. So let's just, whatever the flags you might want to wave or whatever, let's see how it's stripping her power, her ability to govern and run her school. Now, if it's about wanting to stay legal or any of that, then we would have went with what the lawyer said. Now, if the lawyer was nodding and shaking his head while someone was talking, I think that speaks volumes. You can move me outside, okay? But with ending my minutes, because I don't want to keep going on, because y'all have someplace to be, I hope, when it comes to voting next time around, Sunolians make a better choice.
Next person is Joseph Hurley.
My name is Joe Hurley. I am the ex-husband of Miss Hurley. We have not been married for 20 years, so we're not to influence each other's decisions very much anymore. I first moved to Sunol 40 years ago. I spent the vast majority of that time as a Sunolian as I am now. I have often thought that this school district and all the school districts ought to be a lot more concerned in elementary school with basic reading and writing and arithmetic. I have thought that is a basic thing that we could do a lot better. Even as we're told, we're better than lots of other districts in California. California's not doing a very good job. The expert teachers kept us closed an extra year. All of these problems, we could do a lot better if we didn't focus on other things. My first reaction was putting up the basic flags on a flagpole was a small step in that direction. I have since read all of this and heard how destructive it's supposed to be, but it still is a small step in that direction. I think it's already been said really well that if you want inclusivity, that's what the American flag has always represented. And if you don't believe that, you have a problem. And that should be reinforced. I was astonished that if I came and said this, I apparently would be biased and called a bigot. That was really offensive. I thought there'd be more names. And then I was really surprised that we had a superintendent who wanted to tell us about respectfulness, which was wonderful, just like the board president sounded. But then wanted to tell us about equality and equity. Equity is a legal principle. It means fairness. And then we had a process where she didn't want it fair at all. She wanted to take over, have teachers come, spend more time talking than 20 minutes allotted. That needs reevaluation on her part. She has to see that. And the people who think this isn't a political or partisan issue have to take the blinders off. Of course it is. My gosh, even the American flag now is that way. We are better off having the district step away. Doesn't change anything else, and that's what the thing says. No matter what you think you have as legal experts, that's all the resolution does. And I know I have experience at least as much as any other legal expert. That's what it'll do, and I think that's still a wise thing to do. And if that's divisive and you want to threaten people, you've already done a pretty good job of it when you call them all a bigot and you don't even know. I would quote, they will go ahead and
Thank
I'm so lucky to go twice. I will try to be very quick again, but Chris Gilbert's parent of kids here at Sunol and Sunol resident, and for the record, I did run for a seat on the board, and I'm standing on this side, but that's okay. I'm trying to be short here. I'm just going to read it real fast. I'm trying to be short here. Simply, I recommend voting against the resolution. There are far more eloquent comments with citation sources and experience than I can compose, and I'll let them speak more with it. But the one point I would like to make sure that a displayed flag may not be what you believe in, stand for, or even support. It may make you uncomfortable. Though, as a parent, we have a unique opportunity in that we are solely responsible for providing that parental lens that no one else can. We have the responsibility and the opportunity to talk to our kids using our parental filter, and to teach them and guide them. We can dance around the fact that this isn't about the pride flag if you like, but regardless of the flag that is displayed or where it is displayed, it opens the door. It's an invitation for me to talk and teach my children through my viewpoint experiences and our family values. If we really think it's needed, bring another resolution with more clear expectations. But for the sake of our kids, do not pass this resolution. And for note, if I was on the board, I would vote against it.
Anthony M. Rubio.
Hello parents and Sunol residents, I'll keep this short. My name is Anthony Rubio. I'm a California licensed attorney. I've been a resident of Sunol for 20 years. I have a younger brother that's in first grade here at Sunol Glen. I support this resolution to limit the flags flying, and I believe that my interest in passing this is not only rooted in my desire to maintain the integrity of the Sunol Glen's learning environment for my 6-year-old brother, but also for my children that will one day go to Sunol Glen. I believe this resolution is beneficial to the students of this school because it limits distractions and exposure to special interests that are not related to the school curriculum. Allowing other flags to fly free opens the door for numerous special interests and groups to demand their flags to be hung, and will result in school educators spending their time on these matters rather than the learning of our students. It would also result in our children being exposed to special interests, some of which relate to topics that my family and other families in this community would rather be introduced at home and at an age that our specific family feels is appropriate. To that end, I think it's important to note that the Supreme Court has held that in schools that is between K and 8, which is younger students, we have a duty to provide that safe and speech for those two people. So to conclude, I just want to say that I want to remind everybody why we're here, and that's to talk about the education for students between 5 years of age to 12 years of age. Thank you.
Thank you. James Louder.
I think they're.
Go ahead. Your time is on.
Yeah, they're, the order was put in. And
Go ahead, James. The chair recognizes the person called. Sorry, can you pause the time? Just for clarification, our bylaws say if it's a controversial topic, we try to get views from all sides.
According to you.
You are soft. You are soft.
From the attorney.
You are soft.
The attorney say that.
Deputies, can you escort this gentleman out?
Yes. Why don't we hear it from the attorney?
Deputies, please escort him out.
Oh, look at the censorship right now.
Order. We also, in our bylaws, we can clear the whole room and continue the meeting if it's disruptive. We're almost there.
No, let's.
So, everyone keep it down.
Because this is out of,
James?
not going the right way, and.
James, you want to speak?
No, I can hear
You know, I don't know that there's anything, I'm not gonna change anybody's mind. I'd like to just take 30 to 45 seconds and just say, you know, I think it's, I think for the most part, everyone in the room has the good heart for the children, and I wish we could unite around that. It's disappointing to me as a parent and resident of Sunol to see some of the actions on both sides of this issue. I didn't appreciate being called a bigot by somebody who doesn't even know me. I've given a tremendous amount to this school, both with my time and financially. And while the teachers and even the person sitting here badgered me as I came up, I find extremely unprofessional because she doesn't even know me.
Right. It was because we took a lot of time to order them.
Molly,
No, but
it's time.
that doesn't give her a right to badger me. And it's just really disappointing to me to see the school administration arguing with the board.
You are out of order. This is outrageous.
Sit down. She's out of order. Sit down. Nobody else is doing that.
You're out of order. I'd rather leave you listen to it.
We are going to end this meeting because.
You're a family. Because of you want to take your ball and go home. I want everyone to be included in this process. I'm sorry to everyone who wasn't affected that I lost my temper, but this is tough.
People who are disrupting want to leave now, the rest of you can stay. Order!
Can everybody hear me? If the people who are talking right now stop, we will allow you to stay. If you are speaking, you need to leave. The 20 minutes is up for community discussion.
And we only heard your side. That's all you.
And just for clarification, I was keeping a tally, and we heard from 5 groups that voted for, or were advocating for us to not pass it, and 4 for yes.
No.
I was keeping a tally. So, we heard from a few different sides on this topic. Thank you everybody for sharing your comments. We will now have discussion of the board on this item.
We're gonna Order. If we need to hit the gavel one more time because people are talking, everyone will be out of the room. Everyone. And the board will go on. That is what our bylaws state. As the chair, I am trying to keep an organized meeting. This is about civility and discourse. Please, keep it under control. I know people are emotional. A lot of us are, and a lot of us are keeping it in control. Please.
So you're gonna allow any more?
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to ask everybody to leave. The board's gonna continue without anyone in here. Please, everyone go ahead and leave. I just got done talking. I spoke very clearly. Everyone please leave. We will wait until everyone leaves. We are going to wait till everyone leaves. I am the chair of this meeting. I am trying to conduct it civilly. No one did. You can continue to watch it on YouTube. It will be recorded. Yes. Okay, everybody please exit the room. Hi, good to meet you. Good? Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, sir, for calling me names and derogatory comments. I like when people show their true colors. Thank you. Everyone, please exit the room. We're going to take a short recess. Thank you. Thank you. We're having everyone. Everybody, including the media, you can watch it on YouTube. Everybody's clearing up. Everyone, it's broadcast. You have access to it on the broadcast. We aren't limiting your access. We are live streaming it.
We're going?
We are broadcasting it.
That guy's saying we have to stay, the other board is saying we have to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one board member says we stay, the other one says we go. Dan says media has to stay. All stations need to insist.
Okay. News and media, you can stay. If you're not news and media, please go ahead and exit. Everybody please exit in an orderly fashion. Thank you, deputies, for being here to help us out. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, deputies. Thank you.
Keep an eye at the door. I know.
We want to all walk out, and then as soon as it's clear, they can come back in.
That's up to.
Going back in. What about the money? Was that what that was? I don't know. I've never been through that. I don't know. Never saw it. Which bylaw is it?
Yeah, I just shot for like hour 20 sometimes.
I need you guys to please. We're not going to.
It's determined that we are allowed.
It's not going to be determined. It's my decision. We're done. Thank you. Please exit. We're not going to begin until everyone's out.
No, our hits and there's the door open and my colleagues trying to do this.
For the board. Says right here.
Hi, thank you for coming. Super boring.
They still have access to watch. No, but we're not excluding them. They have another way of watching. Do you want to keep them out? You have to get the board to approve it, not just you. Okay. I make a motion.
You're sent to Saturday.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Hi, thank you, darling.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to the meeting. Appreciate it.
So the press should be aware of that
Order. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Is everyone else allowed to stay?
Is everybody else press? Can you let us know what group you're with?
KTV and Channel 2.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm with it.
Okay,
NBC Bay Area and Telemundo.
okay.
I'm with the board here.
What?
The school district hired me to come.
She's with the board.
Yeah.
Who hired you?
You did?
To do what?
To film?
To film?
Yeah. I can give it anything else.
When did they hire you to do this?
Yesterday.
Okay. And you, sir?
NBC.
Okay. Okay, you're in this group, okay?
On 4.
Okay. Okay. And you, sir? Okay, thank you. Sean, could you please close that door for me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay. Comment from the districts. I'm sorry? You can proceed. Did you want to make any comments about it, or did you want to let Ted go ahead? I'd rather have Ted first.
We've got some money.
You don't have to if you don't want to. Maybe whatever you want to do.
Ted has already made quite a few comments to the public. I have not given any indication of how I would vote or what I was thinking. I have read everything that's come across my email, let alone just Castro Valley has been over 48.
emails. I have answered everyone up until about 12:15 today. I have not been able to get back to the other people as yet. I have weighed all these things, and I'm a teacher as well as a nurse, and I have very strong emotional feelings toward these people too. I have good friends and family members who are members of the LGBTQ select group of people, and I am very moved by some of the things that I've read today. I must, however, weigh in the balance here the legal ramifications of not doing what this resolution today. There is a Supreme Court decision that was made in October 2021. It's Shurtleff versus the City of Boston. And I have done my best to get legal updates on that, to find out if there's any case law that would affect how that would be received. It is still an active U.S. Supreme Court decision in which if you fly one special interest flag, you are required to fly any others that people want. And to not agree to this resolution, we put ourselves in a very precarious spot as a very small school district. In talking to one lawyer, I put out requests for two groups of lawyers, one being Pacific, I'm trying to remember the name of it, PJI. I did not get much of a response from them, but I talked to another group of lawyers that represent schools, and I am being told by another lawyer in addition to that didn't fall into this category. I am being told that our little school, which is a one-school school district, would be very vulnerable to any kind of legal action. It's not as dangerous for a school district like San Ramon Valley School District that has 38 or so schools to fly a flag, but our little school could be vulnerable to lawsuits. One lawsuit could take this school down. So, based on my understanding of the law, that Supreme Court decision, and upon the vulnerability of our school, I am making the decision because I have been voted as a custodial person, a trustee of this board, to watch out for the children and the school, the welfare of the school. And I feel it incumbent upon me a fiduciary responsibility to watch out for the safety of the furtherance of this school. And because of that, I would be voting in favor of adopting this resolution, which does not exclude the welcoming and nurturing, hopefully inclusive and acceptance of each of these students in our school district. To not fly the flag and only fly the American flag is not saying I am against the LGBTQ people. It is inclusive of all people, and hopefully our kindness and our acceptance of one another continues and increases. Thank you.
Okay. So we already know it's a fait accompli. Let's first talk about Shurtleff versus Boston, City of Boston. I'm going to read you the introduction by Justin Breyer, who wrote for the opinion of the court what the case is really about and why it's distinguishable from what's happening here. Quote, when the government encourages diverse expression, say by creating a forum for debate, the First Amendment prevents it from discriminating against speakers based on their viewpoint. But when the government speaks for itself, the First Amendment does not demand airtime for all views. After all, the government must be able to promote a program or espouse a policy in order to function. The line between a forum for private expression and the government's own speech is important, but not always clear. This case concerns a flagpole outside of Boston City Hall. For years, Boston has allowed private groups to request use of the flagpole to raise flags of their choosing. As part of this program, Boston approved hundreds of requests to raise dozens of different flags. The city did not deny a single request to raise a flag until, in 2017, Harold Shurtleff, the director of a group called Camp Constitution, asked to fly a Christian flag. Boston refused. At that time, Boston admits it had no written policy limiting use of the flagpole based on content of a flag. The parties dispute whether, on these facts, Boston reserved the pole to fly flags that communicate governmental messages, or instead open the flagpole for citizens to express their own views. If the former, Boston is free to choose the flags it flies without the constraint of the First Amendment's free speech clause. It goes on to say the first and basic question is whether the flag-raising program constitutes government speech. If so, Boston may refuse flags based on viewpoint. So long as the district chooses what flags to fly or not, that's government speech. That's not the speech that you're talking about. Do you understand that?
No, I don't.
So
I don't see, I talked to other attorneys.
So I'm an attorney, and I can
know,
tell you,
because corporate
government,
law.
that's right, exactly, that's true. But government speech is different from public speech, private public speech, if you will. And the Shurtleff case makes that distinction. We are talking about here how government speech is maintained. That's what Ryan's policy is for the district with respect to the district's speech. It's not about whether an individual comes along and says, hey, I can raise a flag on your property because you've allowed somebody else to do that. You've decided to do that. The White House, for example, you cannot go to the White House and say, you know what, you have a flagpole, and we know that you've chosen to raise other flags, so I can just walk in there and tell the White House to raise a flag that I want. You can't do that because it's government speech. It depends on the practice. No, it's government speech. Okay, so no, let me finish. So, the next thing I want to talk about here is what, and this is for the record, what we were advised by our counsel. It included that it's my legal opinion that flying the pride flag during the month of June does not create liability for the district to necessitate the passage of a resolution. Full stop. Okay?
He also isn't saying all of this is defensible. He cannot say that we are absolutely okay, and we are a small school district.
There's nothing to prevent any individual from suing a school district. That's just a reality. You will have that regardless of whether you are perfect or not. That can happen. That's America. All right. Now, again, for the record, how did we get here? In 2021, the Sunol Glen Board of Trustees adopted a number of resolutions supportive of inclusion of historically marginalized groups, including persons of Asian ancestry who had been victims of hate violence, the LGBTQ community, and recognition of Pride Month, in commemoration of Juneteenth as a call to action against injustice of any kind. For the past several years, the pride flag has been hung during the month of June on the fence in front of the school without incident until this past June. At the June board meeting, it was noted that the pride flag was not hung on the fence, and as had been done in past years, and it was requested by me, among others, as a trustee to hang the flag. The superintendent, Molly, given her authority to manage and operate the district, directed that the pride flag be hung on the fence. You all were there, you heard it. The day after the board's June 13th meeting, James Lauder, a parent at the school and a friend of yours, as I understand it, wrote a letter to the superintendent stating, based upon the public comments at the school board meeting last night, I understand there is some community pressure to display the rainbow flag for Pride Month. If you're going to start hanging flags, I respectfully request that you hang the NRA flag, Christian flag, and Gadsden flag as a show of equality. Given the superintendent's authority to manage the government speech of the school, remember she runs the school, she gets to choose who goes and puts flags or what flags you put up or not. That's government speech because she's the district. The superintendent did not honor the request. As the Supreme Court stated in Shurtleff versus City of Boston, when the government speaks for itself, the First Amendment does not demand airtime for all views. So, in this case, James Lauder's request doesn't have to be followed. There's no obligation whatsoever for the school to follow it. My understanding is that subsequently, when James and Ryan sought to confront the superintendent and pressure her not to fly the pride flag, she had the district legal counsel, Josh, here, explain to both you and James that the Shurtleff case did not support the right of the public to demand Sunol Glen to hang particular flags. Is that accurate or not? That is accurate. Okay. Well, and you disagree then, and you both were there.
The statement that I was there to question her, no, I was there as a witness. I was asked to be there.
Were you there? You were there?
I was there.
Was it, how did you describe it or not?
So what I would say, Ryan, and you and I talked about this, is that what happened is that James wrote an email that said, Ryan and I would like to meet with you.
That's not what the email said, is it?
Yeah.
I'll check.
And you can check. And so that made it seem like the two of you were coming in to share your opinion.
No, that's not the intent at all.
Okay, in any event.
You emailed me later and said, are you coming? I said, I can if you want me to. I wasn't emailing you about it.
Yep.
May I just clarify a statement?
Sure.
I meant to say that it's accurate that I explained that all people present at the city of Austin case was distinguishable from Sunol Glen.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what I understood as well, was the case. And that was ignored, but that I think is important that you did advise that at the time. Well,
I'm never party of any of this. I'm not never involved or included in any of this. So I have been having to scratch out because we can't talk. There's three of us.
That's true.
So it'll become a Brown Act violation if I talk to any one of these people.
That's
so
fine.
I've been in the dark on everything except for that research that I do on my own, and I've tried to reach out to different legal entities, and I've only gotten a little bit of what I sought to get back, and I've been trying to make a responsible and prudent decision here as a board member.
That's fine. So, while all this was going on, following the hanging of the pride flag on the Sunol Glen school fence, an individual, during the middle of the night, ripped the flag down and stole it. As a result of this theft of school property, which none of you objected to, I might add, the superintendent hung a new pride flag in support of Pride Month, but this time on the flagpole of the school instead of on the fence in order to make it more difficult to steal it again. Following the June board meetings, the next board meeting was August 1st. And as you know, at the August 1st board meeting, under the agenda item titled Future Agenda Items, for which there was no substantive materials or description provided, you, Ryan, stated that certain community members requested that an item be placed on the next board agenda to discuss which special interest flags can be displayed at the school. For 4 community members stating their disapproval of flying, quote, special interest flags, which one such community member, your friend James, in fact, indicated included the pride flag.
No,
So,
that was after you
no,
brought it up.
I asked him.
Statement that's inaccurate about me. You said I didn't say anything,
So,
and I
that's
was
not
in
inaccurate.
France, so I couldn't say anything.
So
At
it's
this
not
board
in-
meeting you're talking about.
At August 1st, you were at the
No,
board.
before that, you're making a
So,
comment.
August 1st, that's what we're talking about here. So at the August 1st board meeting, I asked James whether what special interest flags he was aware of, and he said the only one that he was aware of was the pride flag. So that's accurate.
Okay, that's from August.
Yes,
That's
you
right.
said- asked him about it.
That's right. So I'm accurate in my statement here. So don't, yes, okay, let me just read, no, let me read it again to you, just so you're clear here.
Here's an
James' letter indicated that this included the pride flag. Did he not?
When you asked him, yes.
Yes, that's right. So he did. He
You
said,
asked him, does this include the pride flag?
yes, and he did. So that's my point. So I'm accurate. So that's accurate. Notwithstanding it was not supported by the opinion of the Supreme Court, James and others asserted that the Shutliff case backed their action, which we've already distinguished is not the case. But, if you want to believe that, you can still believe that. As many of you know from my August 2nd open letter to Sunol, I pointed out that California law provides that, quote, a school district shall not sponsor any activity that promotes a discriminatory bias on the basis of race or ethnicity, gender, religion, disability, nationality, or sexual orientation, or because of the characteristics listed in Section 220, Education Code Section 220 prohibits schools from promoting discriminatory bias on the basis of disability, gender identity, gender expression, nationality, race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or any other characters that is contained in the definition of hate crimes. Notwithstanding this, you pushed forward with the drafting of the resolution before us tonight. And as you know, when I submitted a competing reasonable resolution for inclusion with the board deals, in fact, various people, in fact, cited that as an alternative that might be acceptable. And that was submitted in accordance with the timing and content requirements for agenda items as set forth in bylaw 9322. You can look that up too. It was censored by you, stating, quote, this competing resolution draft is not an approved resolution to be considered by the board. query when we decided that, that's not clear. And as the agenda and items, and specifically this item, are under the direction and approval of the board president to develop, approve, and bring to the agenda and board meeting, I'm going to permit only one resolution on the agenda to be considered. That's a direct quote from what you wrote.
Where'd you get that quote?
From me.
From Molly, and it's entirely legal to do that, because
Yeah,
she
he
was
asked me
asking, yes, that's right.
You forwarded my communication on to him.
He asked me why the board president, refused to, it wasn't my words, Brian, so I wanted to be accurate.
Yeah.
I did
I'm
forward
just
your.
concerned about you forwarding my communication.
It's it's public
forwarded-
record.
No, I just forwarded you that phrase, so it was clear, it was information.
Sorry, you
only.
weren't made aware of something that should be made Ted aware of.
I wasn't aware of any of this
No,
mostly.
no, she didn't need to, Brian.
And correct me if I'm wrong,
He asked me
but
why
it is
you
a reasonable
refuted
ability
it.
to ask the question.
I see you ignoring
why
me.
somebody's being blocked from being put on the agenda.
I'm trying to listen.
Yes, I think it is a reasonable question to ask. And with that said, with a three-member board, you do have to be very careful.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so what do we have with your resolution, Ryan? It provides, among other things, resolve that the governing board authorizes the superintendent or designees to display only the flag of the United States and the flag of the state of California at the Sunol Glen school. If passed, this resolution as written would be limited to would not be limited to Sunol Glen School's flagpole, but would prohibit any flag other than the U.S. flag of California anywhere on Sunol Glen property. So that flag right there would come down. Distinguished, yes it is.
That's your opinion.
No, that is a flag that is on Sunol Glen property that was put up by the district. So that would be prohibited. That would have to come down. Another example, obviously, would be flags such as Red Ribbon Campaign Week flags.
I don't know what that flag is.
You just passed a resolution for Red Ribbon.
Do you have a flag with that?
Yes, there is a flag.
I don't know what that
You should be aware of these things. How about 4-H flags? 4-H flags are put up by the school too, by the district. They're put up by the district, but that would be banned too under your resolution. No. The school does. The district does.
No, we do.
But so this is what you're doing. So I know you're smirking about this, but the reality is that the district is being curbed by this widespread, broad brush resolution. In effect, the resolution broadly bans free speech at Sunol Glen, including teachers and their ability to put a pride flag on their desk. There's nothing in the resolution. There's no express words in the resolution. Yes, it does. I'm a lawyer, and I can tell you that it has to be clear. It's not clear.
It doesn't restrict their free speech.
It does.
It doesn't take away their rights.
Well, let's go back and read. Well, let's just read the language again, just so we're clear here, because you clearly are, I think of this from a lawyer's standpoint. It just says the governing board authorizes the superintendent to select only the flag of the United States of America and the flag of the state of California at the Sunol Glen school. Now, she is the superintendent. Any and all teachers and staff can be and are potentially designees. So, by definition, that means that she could make them designees and curb their ability to put up any flag. She could. That's right. That's what it says.
Doesn't have to. Doesn't have to.
So she could also take it around and say that I'm not going to designate anyone, and I'm going to allow every teacher to put up a flag anywhere they want, including the flagpole.
That's not what legal counsel advises.
Well, we can talk about that.
It's what appears in the district.
So
That's
employees are part of the district. The district does not have anybody but employees in it. So anything that a teacher does is, by definition, an action of the district. No, I'm not. No, I'm not done. So you're going to assert, among other things, that we need this resolution in order to treat all groups of people equally. If we don't, this opens us up to liability lawsuits. That's what you wrote in your letter that you read earlier.
Not word for word.
Yes, it is. No, actually, I got it. You wrote, treat all groups and people equally. If we don't, this opens us up to liability lawsuits. That's a quote from your letter. But in fact, the opposite is the case. The sheer breadth of the prohibition on speech by the proposed resolution makes it right for a lawsuit based on the grounds that it's an unconstitutional prohibition of free speech of students, teachers, and staff. The Supreme Court has repeatedly held that First Amendment protections extend to teachers and students at public schools. Public schools may only prohibit private speech on public school campuses only insofar as such speech substantially interferes with or disrupts the educational environment or interferes with the rights of other students. And there has to be actual evidence of substantial disruption or a reasonable forecast of it, not just fear or apprehension. And that's what you have here. You are in the land of fear, not in the land of reality. So in effect, Ryan has put forward an unconstitutional resolution. The factual predicate for your flag resolution is premised on a disguised bias and veiled bigotry. And the text of this, that's right, it is mine. And the text of his resolution would censor not only the district, but its students, teachers, and staff. It should be voted down as a result.
You're not the only legal opinion on this, and
You're right.
as I sought other people, I was told, your school is vulnerable, being a small, one-school school district. I think the term was, you would be low picking, what is that term?
Low-hanging fruit?
Yes, low-hanging fruit.
Well,
they would not go after the bigger school districts, but they would go after you. And as such, I am concerned about the viability of our school being able to fight such a lawsuit. And that's why I tried the best I could to get some legal advice that would make it more clear how to place my vote, but the best I could do was what I got, and I made my decision that I'll try and protect the school financially.
And to be clear, that's not the advice of the district council.
Well, the district council is not the only person out there either.
The district council said this is a defensible position.
The resolution, you did say that. I did. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so just to clarify, Ms. Barnes, the email that James sent to you said, are you available for a meeting Friday? I've also asked President Jergensen to attend our meeting as well. I've copied him here. You said, great, happy Father's Day. Yeah, these are the times that work. James says, great, I'll be there. Thank you for making time. Molly, Ryan, are you planning on attending this meeting? And I said, let me get to it. I said, yes, maybe we should talk about this as future items, like we did the other items that people requested. So, just to clarify, he did ask you to be there, I was in attendance. But I was not there to try to pressure you.
Right.
And when you said that you did not think this was a decision you wanted as superintendent to be policing and figuring out which flags can be flown by every group that's requesting it, that would detract from your limited time with all the hats you wear in this small district to be figuring out which flags can be on the pole. You said, this is probably something that should go before the board. James, will you please retract your request and take it to the board meeting? Is that about right?
No, you patted his arm and said, you're gonna have to bring this to the board meeting.
Yeah, you said that, and I said, can you bring it to the board meeting?
I did not, and I just want to clarify, because you and I had a conversation after that, and what I expressed to you is that it's the highly unusualness of a community member coming saying, I want to bring the board member to meet with you. Remember, we had that conversation after it. It would be like a parent that is kind of upset with the teacher, and the parent writes directly to the teacher and says, I'm bringing Molly with me. Like Molly and I we're representing each other. And so what we had a conversation about is that it was really uncomfortable for what we talked about is what the normal protocol is for James to just say, I want to meet with Molly and Ryan.
Yeah.
And that's what,
sure.
So that was
it. And I said, do you want me to be there? You said yes, and I said, okay.
No, I just said, are you going to be there?
Yeah.
Because I was confused.
Okay.
Because I hadn't heard from you.
Regardless, this is
the question was like, what was the feeling?
I'm sorry if that gave you a feeling. I didn't
You
try to
asked that, so I'm just trying to clarify.
Okay. Thank you. We are not trying to take the ability to make decisions away from the superintendent. We're trying to make a policy decision about something for various different views in the community. We can see from the people that were here that there are a lot of different views on this. And some of us may agree with one group, some of us may agree with a different group. We as elected officials try to represent the whole community. And we try to make the whole community feel welcome. So, for that reason, I motion that we adopt the resolution before us here, 23-2408, in matter of display of district flags, daily performance, and the daily performance patriotic exercises such as pledge of allegiance like we did. Do I have a second? And all in favor? Aye.
Against.
Okay. 9L passes. You got that, Mickey? 10 consent items. We are going to go ahead with all the consent items at the same time. Approval of minutes, August 1, 2023. Approval of warrants dated 8/16/23, 8/25/23, and 9/5/23. Approval of personnel documents, September 2023. Approval of donations, Mag Trucking donation. Thank you very much to Debbie Ferrari and Mag Trucking for donating thousands of dollars worth of work to remove the dirt. And thank you very much for the generous donation from Martin and Marietta. I'm going to read those two donation letters. Thank you to the press for being here. Thank you for being respectful. Dear Ms. Ferrari, on behalf of Sunol Glen School students, staff, and students, I would like to thank you for your generous donation of removing the invisible dirt